pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight downside, SE off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
Good evening, or good morning, or whatever time it is for you right now. Welcome to another NASA Spaceflight live stream from SpaceX's Boca Chica, Texas facility. This video right now, is brought to you as always by Mary, Boca Chica Gal, on Twitter, who's a Boca Chica resident, who's bringing us these awesome live streams and the daily videos and everything. I'm Jack Beyer. I'm a NASA Spaceflight videographer, editor, whatever you want to call me, content creator. And I'm joined tonight, as usual, by Michael Baylor in the background and occasionally commentating.
How's it going, everyone? Looking forward to hopefully a preburner test with the 3 Raptors installed on Starship SN8. But so far, we can see quite clearly that methane recondenser, which is located behind those 3 black vertical water tanks. All that venting you're seeing right now is coming from the methane recondenser. That is the first step we usually see when they begin the countdown sequence for a test. So recondenser is on. The next thing we'll be looking to see is all the rest of the tank farm to start venting like crazy. And then that will be followed by the propellant loading, which will be indicative by the venting on Starship SN8. So that's kind of the first couple of events we're looking to see here tonight, or this morning, I guess, at this point. But the methane recondenser is on right now.
Yeah, and from the last attempt that they made at the preburner test a couple days ago, you may remember from that stream, there was sort of what we called a triangle vent, kind of down near the middle of the fin area. There was 3 vents where we had previously seen 1. So in addition to those, the vents that you're talking about, Michael, that are indicative of fuel loading and propellant loading that are kind of higher up on the vehicle or different points on the vehicle, there are those 3 around the sort of near the base, I suppose. And I've seen some speculation, to be clear, it's speculation, but it seems plausible to me that those could be for Raptor chill down, which is super nifty given that, and interesting given that with serial number 5 and serial number 6, and I think pretty much every other Starship prototype so far, there has been one of those responds to one Raptor engine. And on SN8, for the first time the other night when we were doing that previous live stream, we saw 3 of those vents, at least it appeared to be 3 of the same vent on SN8. So that's another thing to look out for as we head into the testing flow. And if that is in fact for Raptor chill down, then it's going to be a really good sign to look for, meaning Raptors are having cold propellant flowed through the lines and they're being readied to fire the preburner. So that's what we're looking for tonight. If you're wondering what a preburner is, it's basically a small engine that burns some of the propellant and spins a turbopump. And a lot of what goes into rockets and rocket engines is just some serious, extremely complicated plumbing. And so to get all of the propellant through the rocket engine in the appropriate fashion, at the right pressure, at the right speed, you need to have a pretty badass pump, to be honest. So that's what a turbopump is, and a preburner is, you can think of as the engine that powers the turbopump. So I tried to look for this Elon tweet the other day. I'm positive it exists. Maybe somebody in chat can find it, but basically it was an Elon tweet, something along the lines of preburner startup for full flow stage combustion is extremely complex or really precise, or some wording along those lines. I'm sorry, I can't remember it more clearly, but the gist of it is preburners are especially for full flow stage combustion, where they're dependent on each other, and each Raptor engine has 2 of them. So it's an extremely complex thing, I assume, to start up these on a Raptor engine. So that is why they're doing a preburner test first, and hopefully, if they can get the preburner test done, they'll do a static fire. But if you're wondering what a preburner is, hopefully that's a decent rundown. And yeah, Everyday Astronaut, if you just watched the the weekly update video that we put out today. In it, I mentioned Everyday Astronaut has a really good breakdown of the Raptor engine, because he does. So if you're wondering more about rocket engine stuff, that might be a good place to start. Check that out. But yeah, that's a preburner. That's what we're expecting to see tonight, a preburner test, which will look a lot like engine ignition, but with a little bit less fire and obviously not full ignition of the combustion chamber. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, throw them in chat. We will get to them. It helps if you say at NASASpaceflight before you ask the question. That way it pops up in our queue a little bit better. And let's see. Oh, I'm on the wrong panel. Bam. Let me just bring up our little thing Michael built here so that I can see what everybody's saying. And oh, looks like we've already gotten some memberships coming in. Everybody that is watching right now, you are watching because of the support from our members. So thank you so much to all of our members. And Olivia Scherber, Olivia, thank you so much for the Capcom membership. That's really awesome of you. And and Blake Parsons. What's up, Blake Parsons? Another one of our longtime and frequent contributors. Thank you so much, Blake, for everything that you do, contributing to these streams. And thank you, Olivia, for the new membership. Let's see. I'm just getting all my systems up and running. Oh, you know why those controls weren't displaying, Michael? It's because I didn't have the window wide enough. Oh, the joys of working on a laptop. Let's see. You work on a 27-inch screen for years, and you move to a laptop, and you're like, what's going on? Cool. So thank you, Olivia, once again. Seriously, thank you to all of our members for the support. And Capcom membership gets you Discord access. So if you have any trouble with that, let us know. But it should just take a little bit to propagate. And once it does, pop in Discord, say hey, and we'll teach you how to post cursed rocket emoji, which is something for some reason our Discord members have started, not really started, but have really love to post cursed rocket emoji. So that's a thing. We hope you enjoy it. Blake Parsons, I already got you, but seriously, thanks again, Blake, for everything tonight and every other night that you've ever supported us, which is a lot. Let's see. Buff for BCS says, darn it, NASA spaceflight, I was just headed to bed. I just want to sleep. What is sleep? What is that? You know what that is, Michael?
How do you spell it?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google it. Let's see.
Dictionary.com or something might help.
Yeah, there you go. Fixed Grin says, do we have any confirmation on preburner versus static fire intentions for tonight? It is our understanding that they are going for a preburner test, and then if the preburner test is successful, and if there's still time in the window, which at this point, at this late, there might not be, but if there's still time in the window, they'll go for a static fire as well. But that remains to be seen. So First up, preburner.
And we do think there's going to be a couple of hours between, or there would be a couple of hours between the preburner and the static fire test. So it's currently 3 a.m. Central Time almost, and the window closes at 6 a.m. Central Time. And this test will probably last at least an hour. So do the math. There's not much time for a static fire test today. I wouldn't say it's like a 0% probability, but I think the preburner test is by far the most likely outcome. And of course, even to get to the static fire, they'd have to have the preburner test go pretty flawlessly. And the previous day of testing they ran into quite a few issues, it sounds like. So just getting the preburner test done tonight or this morning would be a pretty big success, I think. And if you're wondering what the preburner test is going to look like Jack was saying, the preburner is sort of like a smaller engine inside the Raptor engine. So the main combustion chamber is not going to ignite. You're not going to see that huge amount of thrust and dust flying everywhere, but you will see some fire come from Starship because those preburners are engines that are being fueled with the methane and liquid oxygen. So you will see some fires. There's not going to be a lot of thrust. So, normally you'll see the dust go flying. This time we're just going to see the fire happen if there is a preburner test. And again, if you look at our timeline, you will notice there is no spot for the 10-minute siren. That's because, at least in the past, they have not alarmed the local residents with the siren at T-minus 10 minutes for a preburner test. Previously, that's only happened for a Raptor engine full firing. So we do not expect a siren if they're going to do a preburner test. But things can always change. It's just not. It wouldn't follow the previous trends that we've seen. And finally, I should probably mention again. We think there's going to be a preburner test first. It's what we've heard from sources and whatnot. But this is SpaceX. Plans can change. You never know if Elon's gotten on the phone to Boca Chica and said, this is taking too long. I want to risk going straight to the static fire. So you never know for sure. So if we hear a siren at T-minus 10 minutes, if we get to T-minus 10 minute siren, maybe we'll start thinking about a potential static fire. But unless we hear that, I think a preburner test is a safe bet right now.
Yep, that makes sense. Let's see.
Well, quickly, I think we can move up the tank farm activity because we're seeing a lot more venting now.
Yeah, it's really getting active down there. CG Fly 1, thank you for the $5. They say, hello, thanks again. Or hello again, thanks for the dedicated coverage, and special thanks to Boca Chica Gal. Thanks, Mary.
And then Noah Martin is asking, let me find the question, there it is. If there's not a preburner test tonight, will it be tomorrow night? And the answer is yes, most likely, depending on the issue, of course. But they have another window, I guess, starting tonight, basically, local time. It's at 9 p.m. local time is when the next window opens. So if they run into an issue during the current window and they're able to fix it by 9 p.m., the next window from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., they do have another opportunity. So this is not like the only chance they have to do it.
I was just listening to that vent.
Was there a vent from Starship? Oh yeah, there was.
I mean, I can't necessarily see one, but I can certainly
I
hear.
I saw one. I heard you mention it. I looked up, and there was a small vent from the top of Starship. So I guess we will move up to propellant loading. Though it's hard to say because they're just like pressurizing the tanks with cold gas, or are they
Yeah,
actually propellant loading? It's the question.
it's tricky to say. And right now, looking at the actual launch mount and at the underside of the vehicle, I'm not seeing any condensation from where there would probably be like a fill line or. So I don't know that we're into it yet. It could, like you said, it could just be pressurization right now. But either way, it's definitely the sound of SN8 coming to life. That weird, like dull, kind of quiet, but obviously very loud because it's so far away roar. It's like a quiet roar. I don't know how else to describe it other than that.
I think that's a good call. We'll wait until we see some condensation coming out of the base of Starship SN8, or from those pipes going up to Starship SN8. Once we see that, we'll move up to propellant loading. But
yeah, that's where my eyes. That's where my eyes are glued right now.
With some like gaseous nitrogen or something. That is what we're seeing that venting from.
It's interesting that we used to be able to look at a vehicle and be like, look, the dents have popped out, and now the build quality is getting good enough to where it's not really denty at all times. So we can't necessarily divine the current state of it, pressurized or not, based on dents or one of the indicators that we used to use.
Bring back the flare stack.
Yeah, I miss the flare stack. But I don't, because flaring hydrocarbons is terrible. Let's see. I see Roqua. I see a couple other people saying they didn't get a notification for this live stream. I don't think we did anything differently. I know this is the third video that we've posted today, so maybe YouTube is just like, nah. But I don't know. We'll check our settings and double check. We're sorry if we didn't get the notification, but yeah, YouTube can be glitchy sometimes.
Yeah.
Firefox asking, what is the recondenser that is currently active? So we were just talking about the flare stack. There used to be a flare, and there still is on site. It's just no longer the main what should I even say? It's no longer the main use. Now they use the recondenser. And so what is the recondenser? Rather than just burning off the methane fuel after detanking, or just burning off the excess fuel as it heats up into a gas, they recondense it back to a liquid so that it does not get wasted. So the recondenser is often one of the first parts of the tank farm to become active. I think that's correct, right? Either way, the recondenser is the thing that we look for in measuring. Is testing starting? Is it about to start? Recondenser is just based on experience, sort of one of those telltale signs. So we don't have a direct line of sight to it from here. Like Michael said earlier, it's behind those green, those black tanks in the foreground there, but you can see when it spools up and it's active. And I'm pretty sure the way that works is it uses liquid nitrogen to recondense that gaseous methane back into a liquid. So that's the source of the condensation that you're seeing there is probably that liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Osami asking, are we going to see heat shield tiles on SN8 or is it not needed? I think it's just not needed, which it's interesting to me that even though it's not needed on SN8 because it's not going high or fast enough, they put heat shield tiles on 5 and 6, even Starhopper. So maybe they're getting confident enough with their mounting practices that they don't feel that they need to test mounting on SN8, or maybe they're saving that for SN9. I don't know. I do find it curious that SN8 doesn't even have a set of test tiles attached to it. Oh, look at that. We're venting out of the methane tank up there. See that little white dot, like the second or third ring from the top, pointed directly at us? That's actually a vent. So we are venting now. Oh, and there it stopped. We are venting now out of that methane tank, which I think we might safely say we're getting into filling here, Michael. But I'd say let's keep a watch on that mount and for any condensation out of the bottom of the vehicle.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the previous day of testing was what, Thursday night and a Friday morning, and it did seem like they've got, even though we were waiting for several hours again today, it did seem like they got off to a slightly quicker start. And then once the pad cleared, they definitely got into the testing operations much quicker. So hopefully that's a sign that they are at least making progress from where they were previous attempt. But we waited, I think, at least over an hour from when the pad cleared the previous attempt until when they actually started testing. So it's good to see activity quickly spooling up right now. And like I see lots of people asking, when's the test going to happen? Well, we can say that testing is underway, but in terms of the actual preburner firing, we don't know. That's not information that SpaceX has released. We don't even know. I mean, we know from the previous Starship vehicles that they tested, it was about an hour from the entire countdown sequence when they started it, but things have easily changed with SN8, so unclear how long it's going to be until the preburner test occurs from this point. And of course, they're going to have built-in holds that vary the amount of time it takes to get to the T-0 point in the test. Or there could be an issue and they could scrub or abort the test. So lots of possibilities, lots of uncertainty, and no official information. So we cannot provide you with a time because we just don't have it, unfortunately. Could the preburner end up in a rapid unplanned disassembly in any way? Since there are no sirens, I would guess no, but they still ignite, right? I mean, with any kind of testing that involves filling the Starship with propellant, there's always a chance of something going wrong. There could be ground support failures, there could be issues with the vehicle itself. So there is a risk with tonight's test. It's just less of a risk than a static fire. So I think they're trying to balance how often they wake up all the residents with the siren in terms of actual risk. So no, I don't, like I said, right, we don't think there's going to be a siren. It doesn't mean there isn't a chance of being one. Just in the past, they've not sounded the siren for a Preburner test because it is less risky, but there is still some risk involved. And Grant, thank you so much for the $2 Australian. I think I recognize your name. Welcome back, Grant.
Dollary dues.
I know. We have so many just amazing people who show up every single day.
Yeah, how many do we haven't looked? Do we have watching right now? 2,900 in the middle of the night watching a Texas tank. That's
And
good stuff.
And notifications even work, apparently. So I'm sure there are more people that would be joining us had they gotten a notification. So stupid YouTube.
Yeah, I just recently found out that YouTube will only let you, I think they only let you publish 3 videos a day. So that's a thing.
Oh, wait, for
So it might,
notifications?
no, I think in general, like you can upload any number of videos you want in a day, but actually hitting publish, I think actually, no, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, maybe it's notifications they only do for 3 or whatever. I'm sure we're pushing it by having done 3 today. YouTube's like, nah, we don't need to tell anybody. Kind of shooting ourselves in the foot there, but so be it.
I mean, we 18 hours ago we streamed the Starlink launch, and Jack published a weekly video for Starship updates, and then Jack published a daily video for Starship updates, and then we went live for a Preburner test. So
Yeah, so it's 4. It's actually 4 in 24 hours is what we're at right now, which is insane. So maybe it's just YouTube not not notifying people because of the number of videos. But whatever, it's not going to always happen this way. And hopefully, you follow us on Twitter or some other method.
we have people saying in chat right now they got the notification. I
Okay,
did not
good.
get the notification on my phone, but some people say that they did. So who
But
knows?
that's just like normal YouTube notification touchiness, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Can you give us an approximate date for Starship's? Oh God, I yawned. Sorry. For Starship's 15-kilometer test flight. I'm gonna say sometime around Halloween, and that's me guessing completely. But that's my guess. Sometime around Halloween, probably in early November, but hopefully before Halloween. Honestly, that's a total guess. You just got to figure there's 3 Raptor engines on this thing. They haven't done a preburner test yet. However many attempts this preburner test is going to take, there's no guarantee that they get it done tonight, even. Or if they do it tonight, there's no guarantee they move right onto a static fire. Maybe they see some data that they don't like and they want to do a preburner again. Or maybe they do a preburner test and something damages a Raptor engine, or it happens during a static fire, or any number of things could pop up and a Raptor engine needs to be swapped out, or a different thing needs to happen, and all of a sudden that timeline gets stretched out more. So a lot of times when people ask, when do you think something's going to happen, you have to qualify it with, that's if nothing goes wrong and everything goes right. And if that happens, I think probably sometime around Halloween. That's my guess. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna see a. I don't want to be like pessimistic, but I think the odds are that we do not see a test flight in October. I think it'll probably take them a couple more days at least to get the static fire test done. That's in a best case scenario. I mean, I guess the best case scenario is to get it done in the next test window, but I think that's quite unlikely. I think either the test today will have to be redone, or the static fire test will take more than one opportunity. So I think we still have
I
a
agree.
couple more days of engine testing, and then engine testing meeting to get the static fire test done. And I'm sorry, I got distracted because I just noticed there's some vapor coming from the base of Starship. So I'm going to update us to propellant loading right now. But
Good job. Good eye.
as I was saying, it's going to take a couple of attempts to get the first static fire done, I think, and then the nose cone installation might take a couple of days. It'll be the first time a nose cone is ever installed. We'll have to get it all hooked up, wired. We'll
Yeah,
have to test it all with an integrated system, so that'll probably take several days.
that's a really good point too about the nose cone. They have installed one on the Mark One, I guess test vehicle, if you want to call it that. They installed a nose cone on Mark One, but that nose cone, I don't think it had a header tank. I don't think it really had anything but flaps. I don't know that. I could be misremembering, but the nose cone that will be installed on SN8 has a full-on header tank for locks and a locks downcomer and all the associated plumbing and wiring for the flaps and the flap actuators and all of that stuff. So who knows what kind of issues they could run into installing that nose cone. It's going to be very complex, and it's going to be the first time they've done something like that. So anytime you do something for the first time, you just have to budget in extra time in your budget. So yeah, that's a good question though, and hopefully we see it fly soon.
I mean, there'll also be the second static fire, probably using the header tanks, and that'll be the first time they ever feed Raptor engine from the liquid oxygen header tank in the nose cone. So that'll also have a high chance of taking multiple attempts. And then, who knows if they're actually going to be able to hop on the first try. So I think most likely we still have a couple weeks ahead of us until the hop.
And that actually reminds me, somebody in our member Discord was asking if they would cryo test the header in the nose cone, which I don't think they would. They have tested like weird nose cone header tank assemblies before, though. You might not remember those because they're a little bit lower profile. In fact, I didn't even know about them, and somebody told me about them. But they had I just missed it. But they have tested like header tank and nose cone assemblies. They've wheeled them down to the launch site and done cryo proofs on them in the same way that they have with the SN7 and 7.1 test tanks. So maybe as part of this test campaign, they end up having to cryo proof the nose cone. Who knows? There's any number of things that could end up in a flight not happening before the end of October. So
we can see
a little bit of speculation for you there.
Yeah, we can see some condensation clearly building up on the liquid oxygen tank. So that's probably a good sign that bottom bulkhead or the bottom thrust puck, whatever you want to call it, now has some liquid oxygen starting to accumulate in the base of it.
Thrust puck, to me, I could be totally wrong. To me, the thrust puck is the thing at the center of the bulkhead that
that makes
the
sense.
Raptors mount to. And then the thing that the thrust puck is mounted to, you can either call a bulkhead if you want to use like engineering terms, or you can call it a dome if you want to use Elon terms. And so thrust dome and thrust puck. And yeah, anyways. And it looks like up near the weld for the common dome or common bulkhead, whatever you want to call it, that's kind of, I don't want to say frosty, but that's condensaty as well. You can almost see there's a gap at the top of the liquid oxygen tank, and then it starts to kind of condensate again near the bottom of the methane tank there, about 3/4 of the way up the vehicle. So I would venture to say that they are filling both of those tanks up with their respective cryogenic liquids.
Yeah, so that is definitely a positive sign. If you were watching the testing on Friday morning, we definitely got to this point, and then we had the liquid oxygen tank started venting from 3 places, which is something we had never seen before. But we had the liquid oxygen tank venting for maybe like 20 or 30 minutes, and then they detanked it. Or maybe it might have been a bit longer. Do you remember, Jack, how long it was? But anyway, there was liquid oxygen
for until we got the triangle vent, or what?
Or how long we had the triangle vent for.
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I could go look.
It was maybe like 30 minutes or so, but we had the liquid oxygen tank was venting with 3 vents. It kind of looked like a triangle. And then that's basically as far as we got. We never saw any frost on the tanks other than condensation, which is not frost. So, I mean, the main thing we're wondering is if the amount of propellant loaded for this static fire will be any larger than previous static fires. And the one indication we might see if there is more propellant for a 3-engine static fire, if we actually see some ice or frost forming on the outside of the Starship. So not the condensation you're seeing now, but like actual ice, because that will mean the propellant has filled up past the bulkheads that it's sitting in right now. We were kind of if you're on the members Discord, we were talking about this afternoon, but I think the general consensus amongst the NSF members was that the propellant loading probably won't be enough for us to see frost during the static fire testing, but during the 50-kilometer hop, there probably will be enough propellant in the Starship for the tanks to actually get frosty, because there'll be more propellant than the bulkheads can carry, so that frost will actually, or the propellant will actually be going up high enough into the tanks to touch the outer sides of the Starship that will cause frost to form. So anyway, keep an eye on the frost levels if we see any today.
Texas Frost Watchers.
Thank you. We have Adrian, one of our NSF members, just passed along the information I was looking for. 5:28, this was the previous day of testing, was the start of the triple vent. It died out around 5:33, so we will see if we get farther than that today. So we're like 25 minutes of, if I can do my math at this time of day correctly, about 25 minutes of liquid oxygen tank venting was what we saw on the previous day of testing.
Maths. Yeah, it's getting extremely condensatey underneath SN8 there. Looking really good. And would you say that's the recondenser, Michael, going crazy right now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So looking really, really good.
And based on the amount of, I always wonder too, we see that condensation coming out of the bottom of the Starship. Presumably a lot of that's from the frost building up along the base of the bottom dome. As that liquid oxygen is touching the bottom dome, it's getting covered in frost and ice and whatnot. We can see that vapor probably coming off that metal. But I wonder at what point they start the Raptor engine chill, where they are, flowing some cold liquid oxygen, most likely through the Raptors to get them conditioned for the eventual firing. In this case, they're actually not going to do a full firing of it. At least we don't expect, as we've been mentioning, a static fire today. But they probably will do the engine chill like they would on an actual static fire test. So I wonder if all that vapor we're seeing right now is just condensation forming, or if there's actually some liquid oxygen being flowed through the Raptors for engine chill.
Yeah, that's always what I wonder when we're at this stage as well, is exactly what you're saying. Is that condensation coming just from basically the underside of a large bowl of cold propellant, or is it, sorry, sneezed, or is it actually indicative of the Raptors getting chilled down for flight, because, or not flight, but for testing? Because you don't want to send super cold propellant, methane and oxygen, into warm lines. That's just a bad idea. So what you do first is you chill them down. So yeah, it's a very good question. I'm sort of leaning towards it's the bulkhead being cold at this point, given that we've seen that new triple vent sort of configuration. That triple vent makes me feel like that is for Raptor chill down, but I don't know that. I'm just guessing that because I've seen people in the comments guess that, and I like it. To be clear, that's my logic behind that one.
And
Let's see.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to do the same thing. Rusty
You got it.
Can, thank you for the 2 pounds. They say, small coffee, I'm afraid today, guys. No worries, Rusty Can. Thank you for all the support throughout all of our streams. And let's see. Night Fox, thank you for the 500 yen. They say, thank you for your hard work on this early in the morning. Get Mary a coffee on me. Thank you so much, Night Fox. Cool name, too. Night Fox. Grant Hugstad, thank you for the Australian $2 and $1. Thank you so much, Grant, for the support. Bent Straight, thank you so much for the $4.99. They say, Texas Tank Watchers, the notification struggle is real. And update on that, in our member Discord, Omari is saying you can upload as many as you want. It will only give you 3 notifications a day. So that's the thing. The KD80, is that a Star Wars thing or something? KD80 sounds like what they would name a drone in Star Wars. KD80, welcome to Padrat. You have a cool name. And thank you for the support. And Nissy Hut, welcome. Or no, you're not welcome to anything, Nissy. Well, you're welcome to the stream, Nissy Hut, but you're not a member, so I'm not going to say welcome to whatever member level you are. Oh, God, I'm digging myself deeper. Thank you for the support, Nessie. Now I'm thinking of the Loch Ness Monster. They say it's morning in Europe. Thank you for staying up. Well, thank you for starting your day with a Starship stream from NASA Spaceflight.
Go ahead.
Thanks for the support. Go for it.
I was going to say that notification comment is interesting because I bet what happened is 2 types of notification settings. There's one that YouTube notifies you for some of our content, and one where it notifies you for all of our content. So I bet people that had it on for only some of our content may not have had their 3 notification quota hit yet for our videos, but people that had it on for all notifications probably already got the Starlink and the 2 other Boca videos you published, so their quota was hit.
That makes sense. Yeah, so check your notification settings for this channel. There might be an additional setting that notifies you in case you hadn't been. Good call, Michael. It's like that time I was watching the feed and I was like, why does it look so bad? Oh, I wasn't set to 1080. Make sure you're set to 1080p 60 frames a second right now, because that is what we are pushing out to the internet.
If your internet can handle it, of course.
Yeah, that's true. If it can't, I truly apologize. We need to get you some better interwebs. Can't wait for Starlink. Der Fandle here? Oh, I'm sure I got that wrong. Thank you so much for the $2 or 2 whatever currency units that is. They say I'm always starting my day with NSF if possible. Well, that's awesome. And Ram Arif, thank you so much for the new membership. Welcome to Padrat, buddy. Everybody, welcome all of our members. Welcome our new members with a double bob in chat. I know I always go with the double bob, but how can you not? He looks so cool with the sunglasses, and he went to space on a dragon. I mean, come on. Give me a double bob in chat for all of our new members. Thanks, members. You get, if you're a Padrat and above, you get the chat emoji. You can do goofy stuff like post to Bob Benkin. And Calypto, thank you for the $10. They say, will Starship payload section be pressurized during launching and landing to maintain structural stability? Seems like that would be the cheapest, lightest option. The short answer is I don't know. The long answer, well, I guess it's not really long, but the slightly less short answer is that the nose cone barrel section that we've seen for SN8 is significantly reinforced. The entire 5-ring stack is reinforced with stringers. So maybe they don't need to pressurize it. I don't know what they'll do in the future, but it seems like the nose cone for SN8 will just rely on structural rigidity alone. But I don't know that. They could totally pressurize it. Who knows? And again, talking about when SN8 might fly, that is one of those things that would, if they do have to pressurize the nose cone, I can only imagine that installing it will be that much more laborious and tricky. But hopefully that's not the case. I don't expect it to be honest. But Michael, look at all of that vapor coming from underneath SN8. That's a lot.
And look at that. There's like a frost line at the very base of this Starship. I don't know if I might have just not noticed that before, but there's a ring of frost at the very bottom.
There's a ring of frost at the bottom?
That's like the very, very bottom.
Really?
Yes. Rewind the stream like 20 minutes. Somebody pointed it out in chat. I apologize. I I read your message, and I went to look, and then I looked back, and I missed you sent it. Somebody pointed it out in chat.
I'm trying to do an A/B test here.
You know what?
I'm
Maybe I
not.
disagree. I disagree.
I'm not.
Never
I'm
mind.
not
Yeah,
seeing it.
it's just venting.
Basically, what we're seeing is the gap in between
It's
the bottom
delaying,
of
yeah.
Starship. Yeah, because there's just no reason there'd be frost down there. That'd be crazy.
Has to be pretty cold. This is the dumb things I say at 1:30 a.m. after other days of Starship testing already this week.
You have an exam in the morning, don't you?
You're not supposed to mention that, Jack.
I'm gonna go. Anyways, Starship SN8. Look at that. I mean, even that gap that was in between the common bulkhead and the LOX tank is now sort of condensated over. How long ago did that happen? Let's check. Oh, quite a while. Yeah, wow. Looks like, let's see, 317, it was still not frosted or condensated. Oh no, it's actually above where we're at right now. Interesting. So the common bulkhead weld area did get condensated, and then it sort of it went away. And now we're just looking at condensation on the LOX tank. Jack Albrecht, thank you so much for the $10. They say, I am up all night on Sundays getting back on my schedule for work after spending my weekend with the family. Thanks for making the grind interesting. You're quite welcome, Jack. We are more than happy to. Oh, look at that! Triangle vent! Triangle vent, triangle vent, triangle vent. So we don't know, but it sure. And look at that. That is a serious one. It sure seems like this is Raptor engine chill down. So we could be very close to pre-burner test here. Although, like Michael said, and thank you again, was it Adrian in our member Discord mentioning that we were at this phase for about 30 minutes or 20 something minutes last time, but this is serious. We did not see quite this voluminous venting out of these vents on the previous attempt. This is a lot. And not off nominal, just different than what we've seen already. I mean, they must be really be, I don't know, chilling those Raptor engines down. Because that's not even, that's outside
I
of
hope you
the,
did not just jinx it, Jack, with your. This is not off nominal comment, but keep going.
yeah, I have a habit of doing that, right? Oh gosh.
I mean, it seems pretty intense.
But I mean, yeah,
I have
I'm
no
not gonna
idea.
say it. I'm not gonna say
I would say
anything.
either way is a possibility. I wouldn't. I don't know.
If it was methane, it'd be igniting in the flare stack, right? Kablooey! Oh, I'll never live it down. Um, yeah, this is a lot. I don't think this would be a detank, though. Why would they detank liquid oxygen out of those ports?
Yeah, this is if this was a deep. Yeah, I mean it's
That's not even in the liquid oxygen tank. Those ports, those vents are in the skirt section, sort of coming out of the wall of a skirt, not coming out of a tank, right?
yeah. I mean because the bulkhead, the bottom of the tank is higher up. That's the lower down vent.
Yes.
But
That,
there's obviously pipes connecting that vent to the tank, or somewhere else that connects to
well,
the
that
tank.
yeah. The reason that I bring that up is because if it's coming out of the engine skirt area, it would make sense that those pipes are connected to Raptor, and thus part of the chill down process. or system, whatever you want to call it. I just checked member Discord, and of course, there's a Tory heavy in there. Why? Why? It's so bad. Stop. But don't stop. I love it. But really stop. But no, don't stop. Let's see. Oh no, we have some new members, and I don't know that I can see what level they came in at. Oh yeah, Flander, welcome to Padrat, and Kostas, welcome to Red Team. Thank you so much, new members. And Helmet Bemboka asking any plans for 4K. Thanks for the $2 Australian, bud. That's a question for DOS. Is my answer to that? I don't think so. I don't even know that we can do that over cell networks. We're actually broadcasting this over almost a Rube Goldbergian type setup over cell networks, but it works. So, but thank you for the support, Helmet.
Yeah, I don't think 4K is worth these trade-offs because YouTube cannot do super low latency streams for one, so we'll be streaming on a lot longer of a delay. Most people's internet cannot handle streaming at 4K. We lose 60 frames per second. So
yeah,
I think
we definitely couldn't do 4K at 60 frames a second. I mean, if you think about a 4K frame versus a 1080 frame.
Oh boy. Well, that was a siren. So it's going to be a static fire, or is this a siren because we're having an issue at the pad and they wanted to alert residents?
Yeah, so that's probably the 10-minute siren ahead of a static fire.
Or could it be? So they've either skipped the Preburner test, they're doing the Preburner test, and there's a siren, which has not happened before, or what we're seeing is some sort of anomaly, and they think there's a risk, so they're warning the residents. Those are my three theories. I have no idea which one of them is correct.
Yeah, three plausible theories. I would say the most likely one of those, at least to me, is that we're just going to jump right into a static fire, which is awesome because come on, let's get on with it. Let's see.
Should I just say in the ticker we don't know what is happening?
Yes. I mean, I honestly think there is merit to saying you don't know when you don't know. It really pees me off when people, you know, basically pretend to know something and act like they know they know what's going on when they super extra don't, especially if we do. But in this case, we don't, and it makes sense to say, I don't know. I'd rather somebody tell me they don't know than somebody lie to me.
I just updated the ticker to say a 10-minute siren has been sounded. We do not know if it is for static fire or Preburner test, but
Sure seems like
I
static
updated the
fire.
wrong thing. Yeah, I'm thinking static fire at this point. So we could possibly be moments away from the first ever triple or multi-engine firing of Raptors ever. So
I normally set a timer when the siren starts, but I wasn't expecting a timer tonight. So instead of setting a timer, I just sat here kind of gobsmacked that we were even hearing the siren in the first place.
yeah, can somebody in our members Discord please go back and tell us what time the siren started at and tag me? That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Omari saying presumed T0 is 3:43.
There we go. So
Adrian saying 3:45. So we're oh my ears. Nice. All right, well there you have it. seeing a couple different questions. What is it? Why is a preburner test different from a static fire test? A preburner test is a small engine that powers the turbo pump that feeds the propellants to the engine. A static fire requires the combustion chamber to ignite. A preburner test does not. Sounds like the drone might be up.
Yeah.
Yep. Good call, Michael.
This is
Drone
really
being up.
static fire.
Yeah, drone being up is an extremely good sign that they are progressing towards an actual fully blown test. I mean, not that we need a good sign at this point. They've done the siren. We know we're under 10 minutes from an attempt of something, probably a static fire test. All right. Well, maybe 5 or 6 minutes away tops for the first ever static fire with 3 Raptor engines simultaneously. It's going to be quite a sight. I mean, it'll kick up a whole bunch of dust. It'll look like an orange dust cloud. We might see some flames. Either way, it's going to be one heck of a show. And more importantly, it's going to be a huge milestone in the development of the Starship program. They have to get these 3 engines fired up. They have to get a 3-engine static fire under their belt before they put a nose cone on it, per their plan. And then once they get the nose cone on it, they're going to do another static fire, and then they're going to fly. So we really want to see them fire these things up tonight because we really want to see this thing fly.
I have been frantically changing every single piece of text everywhere to say engine testing to be more vague. So thank you, Jack, for filling up the commentary.
Yeah, no worries. And that's why we say that we think it's going to be a preburner at the start of the stream or when we describe what's going to be happening tonight. But we always make clear that we're not positive how things are going to play out. And we even said we think they're going to do a preburner, but they might just skip right to a static fire. And it sure looks like that's exactly what's happened. They have skipped straight to the static fire testing. And that's why, that is why we like to be clear when we don't know how things are going to play out. It's important. It's good to say that you don't know things, Michael. Let's see. Thomas Kelly, thank you for the €2. They say so exciting. And Mike Philippines, thank you for the €25. That's a huge amount of money. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you to everybody for supporting our stream. It's super awesome that there are, let's see. Wow, there's 8,000 people watching this tank from Texas in the middle of the night right now. If you like this, if you like what we do, we stream from Texas all the time, thanks to Mary, who's the Boca Chica resident who lives out there. Hit the subscribe button if you don't already. Hit the like button if you haven't already. We do a lot of these streams, and you better believe we'll be out there for SN8's flight when that happens. So here we go. Static fire testing coming up soon. I'm so excited. Oh, and there's a merch store. Buy merch if you want to support us. Shameless plug. Let's see, we've got the ambient audio up. At a certain point, I'm just going to shut up so that we can hear anything if and when it happens. Maybe in like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Monica asking, how do we tell if it's a preburner or static fire? I think the dumb answer is a static fire is longer. It'll be more flame and for longer. And the amount of dust and material it'll kick up will be significantly more. And not having seen a static fire with 3 Raptors, we won't quite know what that looks like, but I think we'll know a static when we see it versus a preburner.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give us some more ambient audio.
All right. I'll see you on the other side, folks.
And if the audio is like too loud, just let me know in chat. Ooh, here we go. Abort. That should be an abort.
Looks like it. You can see that plume coming out of the right side there.
At least, I mean, we haven't been quite correct so far tonight, it seems like, but that is usually the telltale sign of a abort when they have a double vent like that. We will stand by and see if there's a chance of a potential recycle. There are still 2 hours and 17 minutes remaining in the window.
That is 100% an abort an engine startup. I'm 100% confident of that. We've seen that exact style energetic vent from those lower. Well, now it's part of the triangle vent. Previously, it was just the one, but that exact same burst. There's like an energetic burst from those lower vents, and in this case, we saw it on that rear right one. But that is Raptor
That
engine startup.
I just went back and watched, and there's definitely some gas coming out of the Raptor engine.
Oh
You're
wow, hang
correct.
on, let me look. So maybe that was a preburner. Hang on, let me look.
No, it was not. I don't think it was a. You think it was? But usually we see fire.
I,
That might
I
have
don't
been
know.
a
Let me
spin
look.
prime, but I think it probably aborted.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say that's an aborted preburner start. I see what you're talking about. Definitely, material started to be vented out of those Raptor engines. That's sort of what it would look like at the start of a preburner and at the start of a static fire. But we didn't see any flames. We didn't see any orange. We didn't even see any dust or any material kicked up. We just kind of saw the Raptor engines barf a little bit. And I know that's graphic, but really, they kind of just barfed a little bit. They didn't burp or pop. Yeah. So hopefully, like you said, they've got enough time in the rest of the window to go again. And now we kind of just have to wait and see how this plays out next. I wonder how fast they're able to recycle for another attempt.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what. Dang it, Bobby. That's how I feel like SN8 is Bobby right now, and I'm Hank. Dang it, Bobby. Nick Arnold, thank you for the new membership. Let's see, what did you come in at, Nick? Welcome to Padrat, buddy. And Ryan, also welcome to Padrat. Pick your favorite member emoji of choice. I'm going to do a Tory Heavy. And throw it in chat to celebrate your newfound chat emoji glory. Thanks to all of our members for your support. And Ronald Skinner asking, what time is lunch? Thank you for the $15 Australian, Ronald. Lunch is around noon usually, or really whenever you get hungry, kind of in midday.
I mean, on a positive note, I would say as long as they safely detank or recycle, whatever the option they're going to go with here is, if they successfully save the vehicles, at some point today, I will call what we saw a success because it definitely got a lot farther than the previous days of testing, and it got right to the point of potentially igniting 3 Raptors, either the pre-burners or the full main combustion chamber. But to me, that was progress, what we saw.
Absolutely. And like we were talking about earlier, preburner startup for one Raptor is complex enough. Add in 3 Raptors and whatever kind of timing in between those 3 that you might want to do to minimize acoustic loads and vibrations and all that sort of thing. Surely this is going to be an extremely delicate and complicated ballet of very precise and high tolerance machinery that is controlling explosions. so they're going to want to be extremely careful with how they do this. And they got further than they did last time. And hopefully, with the next attempt, whether that's tonight or tomorrow night or what have you, they get even further. And that was compared to previous test flows that we've seen, Michael. That felt quick. And I know it's 3:47 a.m. local time. It's 2 a.m. for us, but no, they didn't load it up and just have it sit there for a while, right? They kind of just loaded it up and went. I don't know, maybe that's just
Yeah, it was a super smooth flow other than the abort, for sure.
agree.
They got from, starting the countdown to Raptor ignition. It seemed just like it was a breeze. The automated sequence did its thing. Unfortunately, the Raptors, we don't think did what they were supposed to do. I mean, if what we saw is usually what we see when they do a spin prime test, but the fact that we heard a siren makes me think a spin prime was not the intended test today. A spin prime is just when they let the propellant flow through the engines, but they don't actually ignite anything. I think they were definitely most likely going for a static fire, perhaps going for a preburner. And we definitely did not see any fire, so both of those options would be ruled out by the lack of flames.
Yep. I think that's all extremely logical and makes perfect sense. I would feel fairly confident asserting those things. That they did in fact go for a static fire based on the siren, that they did in fact almost get there and abort based on the material we saw being injected out of the Raptors and based on the venting from that lower right triangle vent. So yeah, that seems like that seems like
Okay, we have, it looks like Adrian, one of our members, in our back channel on the NSF members Discord server, is saying that it looked like the sound suppression or the water deluge system was activated, and that would be indicative of a static fire attempt. So it does seem like they went straight for that static fire, skipping the preburner test, which again, we have information there was supposed to be a preburner test on both nights of testing, but you know how Elon works. If things are taking too long, Elon sometimes says just do it. So perhaps that's what happened tonight. But whatever the case, it looks like they got some good data without any anomaly, knock on wood. But it seemed to be a successful test in terms of data gathering, not in terms of conducting the static fire.
I'm going back and watching now.
But I mean, the pre-burners did not ignite, we don't think. So presumably, had they gone for a pre-burner test, they would have gotten the same result. Although maybe there
We've
are
got
minor
venting.
differences between the
We've got some
between
venting out of the methane tank up top there, but nothing like a full depress yet.
yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure had they gone for a pre-burner instead of a static fire, they would have gotten a different result because it didn't seem like Raptor got to the point in the ignition sequence where the pre-burner had fired up. So
Yeah,
I
I would
think
agree with that.
had they gone for a static fire pre-burner test tonight, they probably would have gotten the same result. But who knows? There could be like a subtle difference between two testing modes that may have led to a different outcome, but I would guess it would be the same outcome. But yeah, I mean, we haven't, like Jack said, we haven't seen the full depress vent yet. But I mean, the fact that the engines appear to have attempted to fire up makes me think it will take them some time to review the data, and thus they may not have enough time to recycle without letting the propellant get too warm. But you never know. Depends on what
Yeah,
the exact problem was.
I find it really interesting to the point you're making that the triangle vents right now are still there's still vapor coming from them, but nothing even close to the volumes that we were seeing earlier. So the Raptors are still cold, if that's indeed what those are. But um, it's almost like the vehicle right now is in a steady state, right? It's kind of just set and holding, and they're reviewing data. That's sure what it seems like to me. But to your point, who knows if how long it'll take them to review that data and if what that means for testing for the rest of the night.
Whatever the outcome is, I hope it means they are confident to go for a static fire at the top of tomorrow's window, assuming, or I guess this evening's window at this point, assuming they're not able to recycle tonight, because at some point this week, will need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Flavio J. Silva, thank you for the membership. That was a red team. So thank you so much for the membership. You will get early access to some of Mary's clips. And then Fireball Free, thank you for the $5. They say thanks for the coverage. What do you all most look forward to in spaceflight in the next 5 years? What do you think, Jack?
In the next 5 years. Oh man. Well, I can't say SLS flying. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I made myself sad about the use of my tax dollars. Uh, I think maybe James Webb or I mean, really, all of my answers are going to be Starship related if I really think about it, because we all want to see Starship and Super Heavy do its thing. But I mean, I'm excited for more launches out of Vandenberg. I'm excited to see Vulcan fly. Vulcan's going to be an awesome rocket. Um, I'm excited to see Blue Origin build a giant rocket finally. That's going to be cool. I hope they do it and they do it soon because I want my flying giant rocket now. I usually say I want my flying car now, but I know that's not going to happen. I know I can ask for a flying rocket though because we're looking at one hopefully soon here. Supernova, thank you for the Capcom membership. Thank you so much for the membership. Capcom membership gets you Discord access, buddy. So pop in Discord when you get the invite or whatever propagates, and come say hey. What are you looking most forward to, Michael?
I would say, I mean, whatever you think about it, I think the SLS first flight will be very exciting. James Webb launch and subsequent, hopefully successful deployment and startup of scientific activities will be very exciting. Obviously, the first orbital Starship launch, and then whichever vehicle ends up being the one that lands humans on the moon. I mean, now will that happen in the next 5 years is a question, but hopefully it will.
Yeah, I mean, if the 2024 deadline is to be met, that will happen in the next 5 years. So
Right.
absolutely, Lunar Starship is probably the best hopeful answer to that question. From what I know, I would say that SpaceX is trying pretty darn hard to meet that 2024 goal. So don't count it out just yet.
Yeah, I think with the current architecture for reaching the 2024 goal, it's probably a bit of a stretch, but
Plausible. If everything goes right and nothing goes wrong.
I mean, it would probably be simpler just to launch humans to the moon on Starship than well, then you have the human rating of the launch aspects, maybe not, but
Some
I
people
just
in
think,
chat saying it's frosting more. I don't think it's frosting more. I think that's just condensation based on maybe detanking. We've seen those tanks condensate up a little bit during tanking and detanking activity. But one thing that isn't is frost. That's just condensation. Frost is white. That is not white. This just looks like cold vapor, cold liquid, on a can on a hot day, because that's basically what this is. Not frost, just to be clear. Anyways, what were you going to say, Michael?
I was gonna say, I think uh, I mean, if you compare the Artemis path to getting crew on the moon to Apollo, Artemis is actually a lot more aggressive. It is 3 launches of SLS from the first flight ever of the rocket to sending humans to land on the moon, whereas the Apollo program had many, many test flights. So I am I will be surprised if NASA actually goes through on that, first flight uncrewed, second flight around the moon, and third flight humans to the moon to land. I think that is a bit aggressive and likely to change for safety reasons, but we'll see what happens.
Thunder Music asking, what if they only tested one engine just now and still have the other two to go through? I mean, I certainly don't think that's what happened, but I also don't know that's not what happened. One thing that makes me read your comment and sort of be interested by it is the fact that from my perspective, only that back right of the triangle vents ejected a plume or whatever. of cold fluid. So if it was all three Raptors starting up in that moment, I kind of would have expected all three of those vents to do a similar kind of plume ejection type thing. Very technical terms, I know. And maybe they did. Maybe I need to go back and watch again. At the very least, the one pointing at us, we wouldn't necessarily be able to see very well. But yeah, I don't know. The main thing is we don't quite know what we saw, but it certainly seemed like it was a static fire based on the siren, and it certainly seemed like an abort at startup. So that's what I'm confident saying. Good observation there, though, with the single vent comment. And thanks for contributing. Let's see, Dominic Hartman. Thank you for the new membership, Dominic. Dominic, you came in at Capcom. Awesome. You get Discord access, you get the member preview videos, you get chat emoji, all kinds of good stuff. And that's just what you get for supporting this stream and helping us do what we do. So thank you for the support. We hope you enjoy the perks. Supernova also coming in at Capcom. Thank you so much, Supernova. And Victor. Where did Victor come in at? Oh, I lost Victor. Victor, whatever membership level you came in at, thank you so much, buddy. Kevin, thank you for the Australian $5. They say, keep up the good work from down under. You got it, buddy. I was just watching a video today of the River Fire air show in Australia. Oh, man. Am I ever going to need to go down to Australia for River Fire? Let's see. And Petermas Prime, thank you for the $5 Australian. They say, who will be the first to build a successful giant rocket? I'm going to answer your question with a question. And my question to you is, what do you qualify as a giant rocket? Is SLS a giant rocket? Is Starship a giant rocket? I would say Starship is. I would say SLS is. I would say Blue Origin. What is it? New Glenn is. Vulcan. I don't know if I classify Vulcan as a giant rocket. It's definitely a powerful rocket. It's definitely a heavy lift vehicle, but I don't know if I would qualify it as giant. I'd have to see one, and then ask me after I see one. But who will be the first to successfully build one? I mean, I feel like I'm pandering by saying SpaceX, but come on, SpaceX. A lot of people are going to be real salty if SLS flies before a full stack Starship. But it might happen. I mean, come on, Starship has a long way to go. As rapidly as it's progressing, it still has a long road ahead of it. It's like a tortoise and the hare situation. Although, which one would SLS be? I don't know. Terrible metaphor. Anyways, Flat Flow coming in with a Capcom membership. Thank you so much, Flat Flow. Again, Capcom members have Discord access. I feel like I've been talking about the Discord nonstop tonight, and I apologize if it's annoying you, but honestly, I spend a lot of time in our member Discord. It's fun, and I like to highlight that as a Capcom member, people get that because I think that's one of the coolest perks that we offer. And Rough Rider Show, thank you for the $2. They say, I need some coffee. Musk keeping us up all night. I need some Musk. Coffee keeping us up all night. And that's how you know it's 2 a.m. in Jack time. $6,000 watching right now, but I only see 1.2 thousand likes. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Come on, do it. I'm just going to be that guy. Do it. Hit the like button. Do it. The bellboy saying, I wonder if they just push the propellant through the engines just to test the timing to make sure when they do ignite, everything is already synced. That's called a preburner test. And we did not see a preburner test. If we did see a preburner test, it was just an aborted preburner test. What you're describing is a spin prime test, which we don't think that they were trying to do tonight. Also, based on the police siren, which Michael was saying earlier, they only typically do before a static fire test. I think that's pretty indicative that they were going for a static fire test and it aborted. I think that's honestly pretty undisputable at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen like some questions still about whether or not it was a preburner or not. It could have been a preburner attempt, or they're unlikely because of the siren. But I can say with 100% confidence that the preburners are not fire. Every time we see the preburners fire, basically the entire like bottom of the launch stand is like fire flying everywhere. There's just minimal thrust, but there's still a lot of fires. If the preburners ignited, you would have known that they ignited. The most common misconception is actually people mistaking the preburner test for a static fire because it creates so much fire. So the preburners definitely did not ignite.
Is that the
But
drone again? Sorry,
I don't know. But
I thought I heard the drone. Sorry, go
again,
ahead.
it could have potentially been a preburner planned firing, but it didn't happen.
Yep, I couldn't have said it better myself. And Mary in our Discord confirming it was the drone. Thanks, Mary. Was it Mary? Was it going to the launch site or coming back from the launch site? Kind of sounded like it was coming back, but what do I know? Basiria asking, could it be that the right engine was the one failing and caused the abort, and that's why it was the one that squirted the locks? Oh, and really quick, Mary saying she thinks the drone was coming back. Yeah, that would make sense. Thanks for the insight there, Mary. Das always likes to say, and I kind of mock him for it, but it's a good phrase, ground truth. And no one is out there better to give us ground truth than Mary, who's literally our boots on the ground out in Boca Chica. Anyways, Basiria asking if the right engine failed and that's why it squirted locks. I don't think so. I honestly think that squirt of locks would be totally normal. We saw the same thing with SN5. We saw the same thing with SN6. That's just a normal part of Raptor engine startup. For whatever reason, it shoots a high pressure jet of what I'm guessing is liquid oxygen out of those vents. And now that we have 3 Raptor engines, we have three of those vents. And perhaps that back right one is the one that got closest to startup. And they're starting them up in a staged sequence where it's 1, 2, 3, rather than all 3 at once.
Point.
And so maybe that's why that's the only one that squirted the locks, because the first one to start up didn't start, and so the other 2 didn't even start to start, if that makes sense. But this is me, to be 100% clear, I'm just speculating here. You know, I'm trying to make informed guesses based on watching and being on so many of these streams and having been in Boca Chica for testing and just, you know, trying very carefully to make sure that I let you guys know when I'm guessing at something and when I'm not. All right, I'm going to step away for a second, Michael, and refresh my beverage. It's all you for a moment.
Gwen, thank you for the £3. And Bob Stevens, thank you for the $6 Australian. We appreciate both of your support. So we're now waiting to see what's going to happen in terms of. I mean, if I had to guess, I would guess at this point they're probably detanking Starship. So we'll have to wait and see how long that takes, and then we'll probably see the top 2 vents open again to fully depress the vehicle. And then once everything is completely safe, presumably they will reopen the pad, and then we'll find out if the road reopens after the pad reopens. That means they're done testing for today. And if the crews return to the pad and the road remains closed, that means they are planning another attempt today. So we'll have to keep an eye on the road closure and see what happens. Mary has eyes on that, so she'll keep us posted in terms of activity at the road closure. But for now, just waiting to see what happens with the Starship detanking process, which we presume they are undergoing right now. If you're just tuning in, it appears that they aborted a static fire attempt, most likely at T0. We saw some propellant squirt out of the Raptor engines, but it was not ignited, so the abort occurred right at ignition. The reason we think it was a static fire attempt is because we heard the siren that warns the residents ahead of a Raptor engine firing typically, and it looks like the water deluge system at the pad most likely was activated. There's a slight chance it was a pre-burner test, or that was a planned pre-burner test, but regardless, it does seem like whatever was planned was aborted right at T0. So still waiting to see if the next attempt is going to happen tomorrow, or excuse me, if the next attempt is going to happen during this window or during the next window. The next testing window opens tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. As you can see at the top of your screen, it is currently 4:08 a.m. Central Time, and the current testing window closes at 6 a.m. Central Time. So that is the current bit of info that we have if you are just joining us right now. And Mary says the drone is heading back to the pad, so they're continuing to use that drone to get some insight in terms of the status of the vehicle at the pad. They most likely have some, IR cameras and whatnot on that, probably to look for leaks. And
It's really interesting
as well. Go ahead.
It's really interesting that we haven't seen Zeus lately, really at all. For I want to say months at this point. I mean, we haven't seen the doghouse. We haven't seen Zeus itself. Primarily, these duties seem to be before Zeus and now after Zeus, or whatever. I don't know if it's appropriate to say after Zeus, but seems like the pad inspection duties are primarily with the cameras on Starhopper, the cameras on the tank farm, and with the drone. I'm really curious what is going on with Zeus. Is it still on site? Do they still use it? Was it kind of a limited engagement sort of deal? Will it be back? I have many questions, but for now, I'm going to go back away again and keep refreshing my beverage.
Tom Headers, thank you for the £5. Could have been a board. There was a plume from the right, but nothing straight on. Couldn't see left, I'm guessing. Weren't meant to see 3. That's what we were kind of wondering. We usually see that plume spray off during at T0, but we only saw one of them. So like Jack was saying earlier, perhaps it was a staggered start sequence, and the first Raptor engine aborted immediately. So then the remaining 2 Raptors never got a chance to start up, but that was a guess. We do not know. But interesting indeed. And then Ande with the membership, let me check which one that was. It was I cannot find it. I thought I had it. It was the Red Team membership, so welcome to the Red Team. And then Fraser with 3.49 New Zealand dollars. 3 rents for 3 Raptors. What would 28 look like? That is a great question. I presume just either a updated design that does not have so many vents. Maybe they combine vents into one.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, because having 28 holes in a side just seems like not structurally a good idea.
No. Yeah, I would think they're probably going to combine the vents. And Kiwi Chris, thank you for the super chat. The reason we don't have the timeline on the side of the screen right now is because we don't really know what the status is in terms of a recycle. So, again, we had a abort at T0 of a presumed static fire test, but we do not know if they're recycling or detanking right now. So, in terms of a timeline, we're not sure right now.
Talking about the oh my god, I just blanked. What were we talking about just before that?
We were talking about the number of vents.
That's right. I think it's a good idea to mention that a lot of things with this program, Starship, and indeed with the build site and the launch site, are strictly motivated by speed. I mean, look at the orbital launch pad. It looks very different from the pad they're building at Kennedy Space Center. Why is that? Look at the build site. They're using tents and not actual buildings. Why is that? It could very well be that all of these things are for similar reasons, including the fact that Starship that we're looking at right now has 3 vents in this kind of triangle pattern. It could just be for simplicity and speed of development. And at some point in the future, when they need to, they'll combine these vents into a newer, different design. And to my other examples, use the pad at Kennedy. That's appropriate and has a flame diverter and all of that stuff. Or actually build real buildings at the build site. So speed is part of their priorities here, and that is one of the things they're optimizing for. So that could be why there's 3 vents and why that might change in the future. Anyways.
Yeah, I did bring the timeline back. I just updated it to reflect what we have seen so far. So thank you for that feedback. That was a good point. I should have just changed the text instead of removing it. And I'm going with detanking question mark because we do not know if they're detanking or recycling right now. But, I mean, what time was the abort at? Let me check. It was at 3:42. So we still see liquid oxygen tank venting almost half an hour after the abort, which is definitely longer than we saw, I believe, with SN5 and 6 when they had aborts. I could be wrong about that, but interesting that it's taking quite a while to detank the vehicle. It could be they had more propellant for this test. It could be a different test configuration. We don't know. Or it could be a recycle, so multiple options available in terms of why we're still seeing quite a good amount of liquid oxygen venting right now. And yes, it does look like they changed the shapes of the flaps. We do not know why. Hopefully, Elon will give some details into the latest evolution of the design at the next Starship update presentation, which should only be a couple of weeks away. So, stay tuned for the Starship update presentation from Elon for hopefully some more insight into why the design has changed once again. But I will say, the more data they get, the more analysis they do, the further along into development they're going to be constantly refining the design. So I'm sure there's a reason. I just don't know exactly why it is. But that's a good question. How long is a recycle? It depends. It could be a full detanking and then start from square one basically. We redo the entire countdown sequence. Or I'm not sure if they have the capability with this Starship prototype, but some rockets can abort and then recycle to like T minus 15 minutes or something, and then continue to count down from there again. So I'm not sure if Starship can abort to a certain place in the timeline without restarting the entire countdown or not, but it may depend on the exact circumstances that surround the abort. So we do not know how long a recycle is in this exact circumstance. Matthew says, Tim Dodd mentioned on Twitter it could have likely been getting ready for a spin test. You reckon that's what we've seen happen? We have never heard a siren before a spin test, and it seems like from our members Discord, some people think they saw the water deluge system activated, which would not have been activated for a spin prime test, unless perhaps they were just trying to do a full countdown sequence and wanted to test the deluge system. I don't know for sure, but most likely, based on the siren being sounded, it was supposed to be a static fire, because in the past we've only heard the siren warning when a Raptor engine firing is going to happen, whether it be in a hop or a static fire. So we think a static fire is most likely, but we don't know for sure. But I mean, because we don't know for sure, it could also have been a spin test. Hopefully Elon will clarify, but our bet is currently on an aborted static fire.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, sorry, my iPad died.
I mean, whatever the case, I'm sure we'll find out either from Elon or somebody else in the coming hours on Twitter, or maybe somebody will post something in NASASpaceflight L2. You never know. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll get info into what happened at some point. If it was detanking, we'd see 2 sustained vents, but we only see the engine chill vents. Yeah, it is definitely interesting how long it's taking for something to change. Again, a recycle is on the cards. That's why we have detanking question mark, not detanking. We don't know for sure it's detanking, but yeah, I would say it is interesting that it continues to vent after this long. But we did see 2 sustained events when the abort happened, and we would expect to see those 2 sustained events for a lot longer once they are ready to fully depress Starship. It might be because there's still propellant in the tanks. They have not done the full depress yet, but I'm not. You could be correct. They are not detanking yet. I think that's certainly a possibility, given that we still see propellant in Starship based on that venting. About 30 minutes now since the abort. Yes, the 3 vents we're seeing from Starship right now are the liquid oxygen vents.
Yeah, and that bluish color, pretty indicative of liquid oxygen. Such a beautiful color.
Yeah. There's the drone. You can see it flying across the screen.
Good eye. Acadia asks, go
Oh,
for
go
it.
ahead.
Acadia asking, why is SpaceX not using a flame diverter under the orbital launch pad? Is there a benefit other than having less parts on site to potentially fail? I just think that's bonkers, honestly. I think they need a flame diverter, although I don't particularly think I'm smarter than the people at SpaceX, but Elon himself tweeted that it could be a huge mistake. It certainly seems like a huge mistake, but giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe I need to reread the tweet, but I remember thinking, well, maybe it's not such an insane thing to not have a flame diverter if he's only talking about Starship SN8 flight. I could see
Well,
them flying SN8 without a flame diverter from Pad A, roast Pad A, but they have Pad B either ready to go or almost ready to go. And I could totally see them still putting a flame diverter on the orbital pad. And I say all of this, I should really go back and read the original Elon tweet. Maybe he was talking about the orbital pad.
he was talking about the orbital pad.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then people in the chat saying, yeah, talking about the orbital pad. Okay, so that's just bonkers. How can you not have a flame diverter there? Michael, any thought?
I think the only answer is they're not planning on very many Raptor engines for the first super heavy flights.
Do you think the height of the orbital pad will help mitigate
Yeah,
the need for that flame diverter?
yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, Elon even said it might be a mistake, so he's not saying it has a certainty of working, but um, and
Oh man.
I will say I do think they are detanking right now. I've been thinking about this more. We're hardly seeing any activity from the tank farm,
It's
other
not
than
condensating at all.
yeah,
On like the
there's
tanks no longer appear to be like a cold beer can on a hot day.
yeah, and that venting from the liquid oxygen tank is kind of sputtering out now.
Yep.
If they were reconditioning for recycle, that tank farm would be going crazy right now with condensation. It's not. The liquid oxygen tank's about done venting, so I think we're going to see the top two vents open for a depress here shortly. And hopefully we'll be able to go to sleep soon.
Gordon Murphy in our member Discord asking, has Mary ever heard the Raptors spinning up? That's a good question.
And we're not seeing the methane recondenser going, so I think it's only liquid oxygen left in the Starship.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I'm rewinding the stream, and it looks like about 12 minutes ago the methane recondenser stopped. So, oh no.
Was
Maybe
there a
like
few like little
8
puffs?
minutes ago. Yeah, there's a few little puffs, maybe 8 minutes ago. But in the last 10 minutes or so, the methane recondenser has shut off, it looks like. So I think it's safe to say the methane tank is probably fully drained right now of liquid methane. And the liquid oxygen tank is mostly drained because we still see some slight venting. But again, I think we're going to see them depress the remaining gas by opening up those two vents near the top here shortly.
Yep. And then shortly after that, reopen the road and head to the pad.
Yep, I mean, don't go anywhere because I am not liable if they somehow recycle. But I have a feeling, given that it's 4:30 a.m. and the window closes at 6 a.m., they're done testing for tonight or this morning. I keep saying tonight, but technically it's this morning. But it's 2:30 a.m. almost for me, so
We
I
haven't slept
apologize.
yet. It's not the morning yet.
78 degrees Fahrenheit, though, so that is the advantage of nighttime testing for Mary, is that she is not getting absolutely cooked in the Texas sun. But
Yeah, and selfishly for all of us, the heat distortion on the image is non-existent. Whereas those midday tests, it can look like we're looking through a wobbly pane glass at points when the heat distortion gets really, really bad. So definitely enjoy these nighttime testings for Mary's sake and for our sake.
I mean, assuming they actually were attempting a static fire tonight with 3 engines, I am still in shock that we went from thinking a pre-burner test was going to happen to within like 10 minutes of a potentially the first ever multi-engine Raptor firing at
Within
night. These
milliseconds.
crystal clear image quality conditions with the ambient audio working. I mean, it almost happened tonight from what we can tell. We were so
Yep,
close.
so close. Hopefully that means on their next attempt, they get through the flow just as smoothly and just as quickly, and then actually succeed in firing up all three Raptors. I can't help but think of the very first firing of Falcon Heavy static fire at 39A. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was the one where everybody was screaming like crazy.
Would you agree that none of the other Falcon Heavy static fires have sounded like that first one?
Oh, well, I wasn't at any of them, but from the videos I've
But
seen, no question.
yeah,
And
based on videos was kind of what I'm getting at.
yeah, it's amazing how differently sound travels depending on atmospheric conditions.
Yes, it's crazy. Um, I talked about this before on. I've been at Vandenberg for a good number of launches and plenty of Atlas Fives, but to this day, the craziest sounding launch that I've ever experienced outside of the space shuttle was an Atlas V from Vandenberg, just because the atmospheric conditions that day happened to line up exactly right to make the sound truly spectacular. I mean, there was like a low deck of clouds, and we were in kind of a shallow valley, and the sound was just bouncing off the clouds off the other side of the valley, coming back at us, and it was just like a giant reverberation tube or something. I don't know. Is that a thing? But yeah, it's crazy, like you said, how much the atmospheric conditions can change how things sound. But the reason I brought up that that original Falcon Heavy static fire is because around that time I remember there being a lot of talk about a staggered startup, so that if there was any sort of issue, it didn't just kind of shake itself apart. And I'm definitely wondering what kind of staggered startup they'll do for Starship when they finally get to that point, and if the first one will be, if this first three-engine Raptor firing will be any different than all the ones we'll see after. If maybe they do something different on the first time, or if maybe it's atmospheric conditions in the case of Falcon Heavy. But one way or the other, three Raptor firing would be awesome.
Well, the liquid oxygen tank has stopped preventing. You just see a
Yeah,
little bit of condensation from the bottom still, but
yep,
looking
yeah,
pretty close to depressed time.
yeah. Triangle vents done. Both of the tank vents have been done for a while. Recondenser appears pretty much inactive. Just a little bit of condensation on the underside of the vehicle at this point. Framrick saying, have to agree, NASASpaceflight, the video feed is amazing quality. Thank you, and Mary. Well, thank you, Framrick. Another one of those names we see pop up a lot. Thank you so much, buddy, for always joining us on these streams. And thanks for the kind words of support. Sam, I am saying, I just tuned in. What was planned for tonight and what happened so far? As far as we know, tonight they plan to do a preburner test and then a static fire test. Although it sure seems like they jumped over the preburner test and went straight for a static fire test, based on a number of factors, including the fact that they fired off the 10-minute warning siren there, which they only normally do for static fire testing, although it could have been a preburner test. Certainly seems like it was a static fire attempt, and it looks like that static fire attempt aborted at engine startup. Why? We don't know, but that's what's happened so far. There's an hour and a half, just under, it left in the test window, and the vehicle looks to be detanked, either fully or nearly fully. So we're really just waiting for them to either kick the tank farm back into action again and start recycling if they have time, or for them to reopen the road and head to the pad after a depressurization vehicle, which we would see based on that that classic double vent pointed straight at us. But we haven't seen that depressurization yet. Pa Murph asking, Musk said in 2016, 100 passengers to Mars. Last Feb, he said revised to 50 passengers. What's a realistic number? 25 maybe? Yes. I've seen people who are far smarter than say 100 is doable. So I'm not going to discount 100. I'm not going to say 100 is doable and comfortable, but I think humans are generally really bad at estimating the volume of things, just like humans are really bad about estimating risk. And really bad about a number of things, honestly. And the internal volume of Starship is significant. I think 100 people would absolutely be cramped, probably having to hot bunk, or I don't know, who knows. But definitely seems like if I could pick, I would want to be on a Starship with more like 20 people. But I'm not picking. Good question, though, buddy. Framerick, thank you for the £5, bud. Say thanks, guys, for the coffee fund. Here's to a successful static fire at some. Indeed, here. SimPilot 10, thank you for the $3 to say headed to bed. Thanks again, friends. Thanks again, SimPilot 10. Is it SimPilot 10 or SimPilot X? Because we all know friends don't let friends say Mac OS X. It's Mac OS 10. Come on now. Deep cuts. I got a chuckle from Sleepy Michael.
No, that was like my number one pet peeve with some call Mac OS X.
And it's not an iPhone X either. It's an iPhone 10.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's stupid. I'm not saying Apple isn't stupid. They are, but it's like calling it Apple Watch iWatch. It's not an iWatch. I'm sorry. Anyways, I digress. Blake Parsons, thank you for the $7.99 Australian. Thank you so much, Blake. You're a repeat, one of our repeat. I don't even know what to call you. You're awesome. Thank you, Blake. Repeat supporters. There's words.
Chris Bergen says I've got an iWatch.
I quit.
I still can't believe they didn't name the Apple Watch the iWatch.
It's a terrible name. First off, it's not an internet watch. It's barely a smartwatch. Seriously, like the whole point about is the prefix was supposed to be internet, right? And the Apple Watch is not that.
But it's so much more internet than the original iPod. Like, okay, how is the iPod Shuffle an iDevice if the iWatch is not an iDevice?
I have no retort to that. You have successfully cornered me with my own logic. I don't know. I just hate the word iWatch. It makes me shudder.
I think Apple just wanted to move away from the I branding. Is my
Yes.
theory.
Yeah, absolutely. That was sort of around the start of the Tim Cook era, and they were trying to differentiate from Steve. And honestly, at that point, the I prefix had been co-opted by every random company for every random product. It had no longer held the cachet and brand recognition power that it once did. I mean, I joke because there's a billboard right near me for a thing, and it's like a lawyer, and it's like I lawyer, something like that, and it's the same deal, lowercase I, capital L, lawyer. And every time I drive past it, I'm like, one, dude, you are like 2 decades late. Two, it doesn't even make sense. You're not an internet lawyer. Stop it. Just stop. Anyways, the I prefix, I'm glad it's dead. Anyways, you start me talking about Apple stuff, and I get it. I start talking about Apple stuff. I'll be better. I'll be better about not. Harry Stranger, thank you for the Tory Heavy and the $5. Good old, good old Tory Heavy. Throw one in chat right now. Bam, bam, bam. Harry in chat says Tory Heavies have 100% success rate so far. That's true. There hasn't been a single scrubbed Tory Heavy.
Blake, I reckon the odds are very slim, as in less than 5%. But don't quote me.
Yeah, if they recycle and go again, I will. I don't want to actually say like eat my hat, or I don't actually have to, because they will do it.
They would have to extend the window for sure. They're going to run out of time with only an hour and 19 minutes left in the window. Well, I mean, Gabe, the road being closed right now does not mean a whole lot because the Starship is still pressurized, so they have to keep the road closed for safety. But as soon as they depressurize Starship, if the road stays closed at the point where the pad reopens, that would indicate a recycle is on the cards. But if the pad reopens and the road reopens, I think that's probably going to happen, and that would indicate that testing is done for today. So until the pad is open, the road still being closed does not mean much, because if the pad is not safe, the road has to stay closed for safety. When do you think SN9 will test fire? I think it's quite possible. I don't know what you think, Jack, but I think it's quite possible that SN9 goes to the pad while SN8 is still at the pad as well, which would mean that SN9 goes to pad B because SN8 is currently on pad A. But they've been clearly upgrading SN, or there's the depress. There we go. But they've been clearly upgrading pad B to support propellant loading, I think, based on all those new pipes we've seen. So, wow, look at that recondenser go now. But I think we will at least see probably static fire operations from pad B at some point. We may even see a hop from pad B because we're going to need a lot of capacity with the amount of starships they are building. But
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think at a certain point they're going to start running into pad B being the limiting factor. I think in Mary's most recent daily video today, we saw SN9 has the roots of the aft flaps installed on it. So those will get covered up by sort of the transitional pieces, and then they'll install the flaps on SN9. And once they do that, just wheel it out to the pad already. Right? Like how many? We should go back and look how many days after flap install did they wheel 8 to the pad? Because I don't think it was many.
yeah.
So to your point, we are very likely close to the point in time where SN9 would be ready to roll to the pad, which is kind of mind-boggling. Presuming pad B is ready to go and ready for it, Yeah, I could totally see them both on the pad at the same time, which would be nuts to see. I mean, that would really be something. So yeah, if you're wondering what we're looking at right now, this is a classic depressurization vent, a long, sustained double vent from both the liquid oxygen tank, that lower one, and the methane, that upper one.
Yep. So again, this vent will continue until there is no pressure left and there's no pressure difference left between Starship and the atmosphere. So once all the internals of the Starship tanks are at 1 bar and there is no more venting, that will be
Oh,
when they reopen the pad. But they
wait a
clearly,
second.
what
It
were you gonna
just
say?
stopped though. It
Yeah,
like normally we would have expected it to keep going for quite a while until
yeah.
those
I was
vents
gonna
sort of
say
petered out.
clearly stopped before it petered out. So there is still pressure in Starship at this point.
Huh.
Most likely we'll see that vent open up again sometime soon.
Interesting. A lot of people asking about venting methane into the air. Even if that's not methane coming out of the methane tank, and it's like, say, liquid nitrogen used for ullage pressure or ullage or however you say that word, um, it could be not methane. Is all I'm saying. Or maybe it's methane, and there's some sort of variance where they're allowed to vent certain amounts or what have you. And there goes the LOX vent.
Yeah. From what I understand, they are actually venting methane from the top tank. It's just not very much, and I don't know what the agreement with the EPA is. Maybe they have to pay some fines to make up for it or something. But the vast majority of the methane gets sent back through the recondenser and put back into the CH4 tank at the pad. And again, that condensation you're seeing form right now is just from the venting. That is not a sign that propellant loading or anything is underway again. From all we've seen, this looks like the normal detanking process.
Yep. It's a go-to analogy or whatever in this situation, but imagine you're using duster on your computer and you've sprayed a significant amount. What does that can do? It gets cold. And that's what we're seeing with Starship. It has vented a significant amount of gas, and thus it is colded down. Oh my God, my brain. It's colded down, Michael.
Things say at 2:47 a.m. our time, 4:47 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, seriously. Astronaut 42 saying, "Are you guys using Apple devices?" Yep. How could you tell? Someone else saying Apple phone and iWatch. Ugh. It's like sandpaper on my ears. Dark and Emerald asking, "What are those car sounds?" They're cars. Space Inhabitant, thank you so much for the 20 currency units. They say, "Hi guys, I love the tremendous work you do. Cheers." Thank you so much, Space Inhabitant. And Thor. Awesome. Thor, welcome to Padrat. Thank you for the support, buddy. Rough Riders, I'm not going to read your super chat, but I will say thanks for the 199. I do not appreciate divisiveness in the tech world. If you like a device that's not an Apple device, that's cool. Don't shame people that like Apple devices. Paul from Norway, thank you for the 20 currency units. They say the crew's mental health is key to success for first mission to Mars. Low number on board, 20 to 24 max. Mental health. Yeah, I would say even that's a lot, but I'm also not the most outgoing person. I mean, I would go with like 3 people. I'd be down as long as I was friends with those 3 people. But 20 to 24 seems like probably the right number, somewhere around there. Maybe like 16, somewhere 16 to 20. Yeah, I would agree with you, Paul from Norway. Hope you're having a great day. Oh, and it's 200 currency units, not 20. My bad. A Bale says you guys should just come on down under to Australia where it's almost 8 p.m. You know what, A? I would. I would. It's been on my list for the longest time. Not because I want to go to Australia and see a kangaroo or go to Australia and go to the Great Barrier Reef or like all the stereotypical things. Although I would probably do those things. Let's be honest. No, I want to go to Australia and I want to go to the outback. Maybe that's a stereotypical thing. I don't know. But I like the desert. You know anything about me? You know I am a total nut for remote places where there's nobody within 50 or 100 or whatever miles of you, and you just kind of you're on your own. So the outback appeals to me for that reason, and I would absolutely love to check out what uh, what extremely middle of nowhere Australia is like someday if I ever get the chance. So thanks for the invite there. It certainly would be nice if it was only 8 p.m. here. I mean, it's 5 a.m. right now, and she shot a daily video today and then is now live streaming. So definitely would be great if it wasn't so late, but it's a kind of a give and take kind of thing. Like we were talking about earlier, there's no heat distortion right now, and that image is nice and crisp. So kind of a double-edged sword there. Big Rat Killer saying methane tank is frosty again. No, it's not Big Rat Killer. Thanks for the observation, but that I would classify as condensation, not frost. Frost is white, right? Like think when you open up your freezer and there's frost all on the inside of it. What color is it? It's white. This looks like a can that is cold. It's just condensation. Tank farm's not active. Barely any condensation coming out from the bottom of the vehicle, but doesn't look like it's depressing. At least not any further than we've seen so far. Harry Stranger in our Discord saying we need to make Tory aware that a Tory heavy is a real thing. Dear Lord, Harry, no, no, absolutely not. Any semblance of professionalism out the window. Gabby saying it's easier for us to say frosty than con, but I understand that, but it's imprecise, and frosty means a specific thing, so that's why I split hairs. Manassas says if you're visiting somewhere, come to Brazil. All right, let's be clear. I want to visit everywhere. I would absolutely love to go to Brazil. I'd love to go to everywhere in the world. Unfortunately, based on the nature of life, I'll probably only get to visit a small number of, but absolutely would love to see Brazil. Really, anywhere in South America. I wish I could have seen that eclipse. What was it last year? In what that went through Chile. Oh my gosh, if only an eclipse in the Atacama Desert. Sign me up. Hey, you know what's like the desert, Michael? Mars and the
Good one,
moon.
Jack.
You see that segue? Look at that. Uh, for real though, I want to go to Mars and the Moon, like so bad. I was watching Elon Mars Society talk, and Elon was saying, "Oh, we need more people devoted to the cause of Mars, espousing the cause of Mars. People that want to go." Um, I'd go. I would so 100% go. Um, and I do have a Patreon. Maybe if I work really, 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 really hard and I get really, 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 really lucky in like 5 or 10 years, Patreon and my life savings, everything will be enough that I get to go to Mars. And you better believe that if I ever get the chance, I will absolutely go to Mars. So sign me up. I'll go on record right now as saying, sign me up. You want me to go on the first one? I'll go on the first one. Do it. Let's do this thing. I'm getting hyped. Let's see. I don't know if I can pronounce it. Elgerum, saying, even though SpaceX has a lot of on site, do you think they also snoop into all the streams for more angles and data? Yes. I don't think they need to, but I think there are SpaceXers who watch our. That's kind of just undeniable.
How could it
I
not
mean,
be?
yeah, and even Elon has said that we are, quote, mostly accurate in our commentary and also, quote, pretty funny or something along those lines. So I'll take it.
I remember that was like one of our first ever Starship streams. We got off to a hot start.
Yeah, and we also, I think that might have been the one or around the time where we had Scott Manley and Tim Dodd on, and it was a ball. That was such a series of streams there as we were all getting our feet wet. Doss was ropes. Good days, good times.
That was those late night SN4 streams before they moved to daytime testing.
That's
And
right.
now we're back to nighttime.
Oh man, SN4.
There were 5 total SN4 static fires, not including the cryogenic proof tests and all the static fire aborts, the wet dress rehearsal, the spin prime, the preburner test. Like SN4 was a serious test campaign. We did a lot of live streams on that, and of course, it all ended with one big explosion.
Detonation.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy to think when you lay it out all like that, how much data they almost certainly gathered from SN4. Like it certainly stinks that SN4 totaled the pad and required a whole bunch of building and that they lost the vehicle. But with that huge engine testing campaign, they surely got a significant amount of data. And I think around that time is before they had turned the big Raptor, the Raptor, maybe that's what it should be called now. They turned the big tripod engine test stand at McGregor into a Raptor test stand for vertical firing. I think around the time that SN4 was active, they did not have a vertical Raptor test. I think the only way they really could test Raptor vertical is on a serial number prototype. And since then, of course, they've put the Traptor tripod, whatever words they can do that now at McGregor. But yeah, clearly they gathered a significant amount of data with SM4, even though it went kaflooey.
Yep. But still waiting for the depress to be completed. We've seen the vent is getting weaker and weaker every time it opens up, but it does take quite a while for them to release all the pressure. And I still see people in chat wondering if it is being refilled because it's saying condensation. Again, that's just caused by the depressing venting. If it was being filled up again, there'd be a lot more venting from the tank farm.
Yep, pretty much just waiting for this thing to depress the road to open for them to head back to the pad. But they could refill it and go again. Who knows? I don't think they have enough time for that, but we really don't know what's going to happen until it happens. But certainly seems like, according to our timeline on the left, the next thing we would expect to see is fully detanking and pad reopening. But we'll just have to wait and see. Good old fashioned Texas tank watching. Speaking of Texas tank watching, now might be a good time to plug our merch. We have a merch store. It has cool shirts and prints from Mary and prints from Julia and a bunch of other cool gear like mugs and hats, hoodies. Here's a Texas Tank Watcher t-shirt. So yeah, if you really want to support what we do, a number of ways. There's the YouTube memberships, there's the merch store, there's L2, and if you can't contribute monetarily, that's okay. We love you anyway. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, tell your friends about us. Like Elon was saying at that Planetary Society, at the Mars Society meeting thing, we need more people espousing the cause of. So if you want to help us out, have extra money in your wallet, just tell your friends. Make sure anybody that you know that knows about spaceflight, cares about Starship, knows we're the channel to go to for that stuff. Thanks. David Vermont saying, so they have run out of time, presumably. Yeah, I would say an hour left in the window. We are pretty darn close to being able to authoritatively say they are out of time. And I say that, and at the same time as I say that, I distinctly remember, what was it? Was it SN6 or SN5? They static fired outside of the window. Like we closed up shop, we shut down we were about to shut down one of the two, and sure enough, things kicked back up again, and they fired just completely outside the window. So never say never, but pad reopens, that'll kind of be a definitive indicator, and that's kind of what we're waiting for right now.
I will say there are FAA regulations for how long the SpaceX task controllers can be on console for, so they will likely need a shift change if they are to continue testing, because I believe the shifts in Boca Chica, at least from an Eric Berger article, are from 6 to 6, so presumably this round of test controllers came on console at 6 p.m. for a 9 p.m. opening of the window, which means they're coming up on 12 hours. I mean, they could have come on console slightly later. I don't know the exact what the FAA maximum amount of time on console is, but I do know from previous testing that has been something they've run into.
I must have missed that article. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, the shifts in Boca Chica are from 6 to 6, and they are a 4 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 4 days off schedule. So you work like crazy for 3 or 4 days in a row, and then you have 3 or 4 days off in a row.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Raptor SN420 asks, when are y'all going to Elon on for an interview? That would be really cool, honestly. Elon, if you're watching, we can just give you a number. You can call in. We can do a thing. But you're not watching. You're much busy. But that would be cool. Who knows? Maybe if the it's big enough, that can happen today. We definitely have the desire to have cool guests on NASA Spaceflight Live, and we have some cool stuff in the works in that respect. Not an Elon interview, to be clear, but who knows? Maybe someday we'll get there. That'd be really cool. That's like one of those situations where if we ever did get an Elon interview, whoever got to actually talk to him, I imagine would be such a high stress thing because I mean, I don't know about you, Michael, but whenever I watch somebody interview Elon, like for example, that Mars Society thing, I can always think of 1,000 questions that I would want to answer and that I would want to ask in that situation. And then if it was actually me in that moment, of course, you're so cranked up on adrenaline, fear, and just stage fright and whatever else that you can't think of any questions. So it's got to be a very high stakes game to interview Elon because you want to use his time wisely and effectively and take advantage of that. But I mean, you really need to have your thinking cap on so that you can do so. Good question, Raptor SN420. Zizix saying the explosion of SN4 was also a lot of data. I can't disagree with you there, bud. Jim Bob, yes, SN8 has flaps. Richard Tasker saying it's kind of like they're on hold at a certain pressure with how slow the tanks are detanked. Sure seems like it. Now people are naming themselves after Raptors in chat. Raptor SN69 says, hey. Hey, Raptor. Next up, Raptor engine 69,420. Bogdan asking, will SN8 have a nose cone and front fins, or will that be SN9? No, buddy, that'll be SN8. SN8 is going to need that nose cone and the forward fins for the belly flap maneuver and for the 15-kilometer flight. I cannot wait to see that nose cone installed. And once the nose cone is on SN8, that's when you know the 15-kilometer flight is just around the corner. So that's going to be really exciting. And once that happens, things are going to get really real, really fast. Joe asking, how long do you guys think it would take Starship to get to Mars? What is the normal transfer window, Michael? Like, or transit time? Sorry, like 6 months, something like that.
3 to 6 months, I think.
Depending on how fast you go and how optimal the.
Maybe it's 3 to 7, but yeah.
So good question, Peko. 3 to 7 months. Speaking as someone who is living through a pandemic like the rest of us, I feel like I could absolutely stay on a Starship for 3 months and not go crazy. Sam I am asking, what are the odds they land SN8 with the belly flop maneuver first try? I say 40% chance, optimistically. I honestly think, basically, here's my gut feeling. If the Raptor engines light for the landing, then I think they will stick the landing. I think and I don't base this on any even like rocket knowledge whatsoever. Somebody that knows something might actually tell me, nope, you're wrong for this reason or that reason. So just to be clear, but I feel like they have such a good control landing a rocket, what with Falcon 9, SN5, and SN6, Starhopper, making it look easy, really, that if they can get Starship serial number 8 anywhere close to the ground and get it into the right orientation with pointy side up, flamey side down, and have those Raptor engines on, I'd say it's almost like dead certain they land. Maybe something happens with a Raptor engine and they don't stick the landing, or maybe it lands and falls over because of crappy legs. But I really think the hard parts will be maintaining attitude control during the belly flop and flipping from the belly flop to an engine burn config and having those Raptors light do it. Because I think Elon has tweeted something along the lines of most of the control authority for that flip comes from Raptor engine gimbaling, not from the flaps, not from thruster. So if I'm remembering that correctly. So yeah, I don't know. How likely do I think that is? 50-50. As with any test flight, I think my response is just going to be a default 50-50. David Vermont saying, however, a belly flop into the ground would give us a pretty impressive spectacle as long as it misses the tank farm. Yeah, that's why, David, a lot of us have talked about we think they're going to target the water instead of land. And once the Raptor engines start up, they'll be able to refine their landing location from the water just a little bit over to the landing. And they do that already with Falcon. They do that so that they don't roast the landing zone of the drone ship in the event of a failed landing. They don't target the actual landing pad or the drone ship until the last minute. So I suspect, though I don't know, they'll do something similar with serial number 8. And if it does pancake, it'll pancake into the water. But we don't know that, but that's my guess. David, we'll see it land live. Oh, you better believe we'll see it land live because, I mean, we're going to be live. I know we plan to be live for it. I'm sure there'll be other people out there like Everyday Astronaut who's going to be live for it. So we'll see it. And I imagine if they do target water, it'll be just offshore. So definitely visible. I mean, I don't know if you watched the in-flight abort, but is that the in-flight? Yeah, it was the in-flight abort. There was pieces visible, um, falling and then hitting the water and then exploding. So if those tiny little pieces of Falcon 9 are doing that, then a full-size Starship prototype will absolutely be visible hitting the water, no matter how far offshore it does it. Well, not no matter how far, but even if it does it significantly far offshore, although I suspect it'll be relatively close. Like I said, it'll be just offshore until those engines are reignited, and then they'll translate over to the landing. That's my guess. So I think we'll see it. With any luck, we'll have eyes on it for launch, flight, landing. Maybe not all of it's going to get so high, but yeah.
It is interesting, Jack. The recondenser is venting again.
What? Hang on. I'm looking at chat. I'm not looking at the feed. Oh my gosh, you're right. What? Maybe they're just draining the remainder of liquid from.
But look at
I
a
don't
tank.
know.
Look at a tank farm right now. This looks like a recycle. I don't want to
This,
speak too soon, but
maybe they're going to go again right at 6. This looks like a recycle.
wow. Can we get some? I'm thinking about my sleep.
I mean, I'm fine to hold things down. I don't know when we can get DOS on, but
Oh
you
well,
absolutely.
I'm not missing static fire no matter what.
All right, fair. What I can say, Michael, is start caffeinating now. Because if you're caffeinating when you're tired, you're too late. Nab in chat in all caps saying, inject the caffeine. Yeah, so hopefully we're coming up on another static fire attempt here. I mean, if we hear that siren kick on again, that'll be telltale, huh? 66 Starship Alien in chat saying, I think we're hallucinating. I'm a little bit punch drunk. Honestly, it's 3:16 in the morning. Yes, it does almost seem like we're hallucinating, but no, we are not. That is a lot of activity from the tank farm and the methane recondenser. This certainly looks like a recycle. All right, now is the time where I go look at our Discord and I see Harry Stranger say, hearing me out, MagSafe, but for Starship, and I post a vomiting emoji. Come on. Okay, does anyone have a timeline here? Yes. Adrian in our Discord saying new T0 should be 6:10 a.m. according to the last countdown. So sometime around 6. A brisk 43 minutes away. Yeah, and Sadara noting in chat, they have gone past the end of the window before. That's what we were talking about earlier, right? So totally possible for them to do it. They've done it before, but definitely slightly unusual. We were not expecting.
Okay, I'm gonna be right back, Jack. I'm gonna reset some stuff while I get ready for another test.
All right, do your thing, chicken. Let's see. Tom Harrison asks, are they going again? Sure looks like it, Tom. We don't know, but it sure looks like it. Blake Parsons with a $5.99 super chat. Thank you, Blake. Again, thank you. Say, love my 5% odds. Let's go round 2. I believe Michael earlier said that he gave it a 5% chance they would recycle. And I almost said I would eat my hat. And I'm really, really glad I did not say that, because I do not want to eat a hat. Especially not, I mean, my hat is like a large, wide, like a desert kind of hat, right? Like, I'm not trying to eat that. One thing I would like to know, quick digression. If you eat a hat, if you say I'll eat my hat, are you allowed to cook it? It seems like it would be a lot easier to eat a cooked hat than like hat sushi. Paul from Norway. Thank you for the support. Fly with Jazza. Thank you for the Australian $5. They say, the current rate of growth, how close do you think we are to saucer-style starships being built in space? Okay, well, saucer-style starship to me implies a mode of propulsion or energy production that is not terrestrial or anything close to what we have right now. So 100 years, at least, if ever. Niall Anderson? Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Niall and yeah, Anderson, not Andreessen, right? Niall, thank you so much for the new membership. Welcome to Padrat. Throw a double Gwen in chat, if you please. You now have chat emoji, so you can do cool things like that. I just did. Jason Maidment. Jason, welcome to Padrat. Thank you, buddy. Sorry, it was taking a second to find what level you came in at. Both of you, welcome to Padrat membership. We hope you enjoy the member perks like the preview videos and the sweet chat emoji. We're definitely going to have to come up with some more emoji. We have a bunch of free emoji slots. I just need to get around to compiling the list and haranguing somebody with graphic design skills to make them. Yeah, Sarah, you're getting into it now. I don't know why I love the members emoji so much, but I do. Oh wow! I wish I didn't know that roughly around 6:10 would be the next attempt based on the previous timeline. Because looking at the clock at 5:22 right now. Oh boy! All right, what can we do to pass the time? What can we do to pass the time? I don't know. Chat, ask some questions at NASASpaceflight in your questions so I can see it easier. Maury K saying the top vent on the CH4 tank just vented. Excellent. Been seeing some intermittent vents here and there, so hopefully that continues. Dallas asking about the status on Super Heavy. It just seems like it's ready to go and have a bunch of pieces of it around the build site, and they're just waiting on the high bay to be done so they can stack it. It's as simple as that. It seems like it's ready to go and be built and to build it. Only catch is right now, they don't have somewhere to build it yet until the high bay is done. Sirius says we can thank Mary. Call. Good call. It is 5:04 a.m. Poor Mary. She's a trooper. She's a legend. Thank you, Mary. Everybody in chat, say thanks, Mary, because without her, we would not have this view right now. Astronaut 42 asking if there's a Texas Tank Watchers theme tune. I don't think so, but there is a sting, and it's Horse Whinny Whip Crack Whip Crack. If you don't know what a sting is, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a sound effect, really. One of these days, I'm going to have to get a soundboard together and actually make a horse weenie with 2 whip cracks. Skin Cleaners TV show? What on earth is that show about? Thank you for the £5 so much. Thank you. Pat asking if all 3 Raptors will gimbal? Yes. We don't know if they'll gimbal during the test. I suspect not. But in general, these 3 Raptors are gimbalable. Are able to gimbal. No. I like gimbalable better. They are gimbalable Raptors. Heard it here first, folks. Gimbalable. Ozzy Astronaut, this is appropriate, saying, sleep is for the weak. I agree, Ozzy. I might be getting a little bit loopy, but I'm having a blast. Let's see. TJ Moore asking about the yellow smoke. Buddy, that's not yellow smoke, although I don't blame you for thinking it looks like it. It's mustard gas. It's used to defeat SpaceX's enemies. No, I'm kidding. It is just backlit vapor. There's a yellow light back there. It's just vapor with a yellow light behind. Flawless Assassin asking what the ETA is. We don't know what the ETA is, but we're expecting another static fire attempt, potentially around 6. It certainly looks like they're recycling right now, although we're never quite positive what they're doing. But based on previous activity, it looks like a recycle currently. The window closes at 6, but we're thinking they might just go around the end of it. All right, we should see LOX tank venting pretty soon here if they're following the same timeline as previous. And Adrian in chat, is that LOX tank venting meaning from the vent that's pointing at us, or is that the tri-vent, triangle vent? I think you mean it's the one that's pointing at us, kind of like 3/4 of the way up the vehicle. Yeah, okay. Sweet. Hopefully that starts up soon and it becomes super clear that they are in fact tanking the vehicle up any moment now if we are following the same flow as last. Clown Sissy saying, what was that? Sounded like a motorcycle or a chainsaw. Close. It was a chain cycle. Or maybe it was a motor saw. Earlier I asked, if you say I'll eat my hat about something, are you allowed to cook the hat? And Soros Burnson saying it has to be raw hat. That's tough. You drive a tough bargain there, buddy, but that's why I don't say things like I would eat my hat. And Joy saying hat soup. I feel like hat soup would be, one, pretty easy to make, and two, at least easier to eat than raw hat or hat sushi, whatever you want to call it.
Before anyone freaks out, that light in the bottom right is a boat. Way far in the distance, but that light in the background is just a boat in the ocean far away.
Look at that. Neat. Before anyone freaks out.
I have mistaken that before. We'll just say that much.
Yeah, I mean, you spend enough hours watching tanks, you're going to make that mistake. There's boats out there. Francesco saying if you could cook the hat, you could just fry it. That's too easy. I mean, I guess that's a fried hat would be fairly easy, I imagine. Didn't Elon say he would eat his hat about something? What is it, like Vulcan getting a national security mission before Starship flies or something along those lines?
Yeah, Vulcan flying a national security payload by 2023. He said he would eat his hat with a side of mustard if that happened.
Why does the side of mustard make it so much funnier? Does he hate mustard or something? Like, what am I supposed to take from the mustard comment, a part of his comment? It's so specific. Why? Oh, man. Is there like in the Ashley Vance biography that's not like a tidbit where he hates mustard or something? I completely missed that part. Anyways, you're wondering why I'm talking about eating hats. Yeah, we're waiting for Starship to vent. We think that they are recycling for another static fire attempt, but currently we've kind of hit a wall here. Tank farm kicked up again, and it's starting to condensate from underneath SN8 again, but no venting from the vehicle really of any significant amount. So that it will be the next thing that we look for.
I mean, I can't imagine this much tank farm activity and are not recycling at this point, so I'm pretty confident there's going to be a recycle, but that if the liquid oxygen tank starts venting, that's pretty much a guarantee that they have recycled.
I do feel like the amount of condensation coming from the underside of the vehicle is growing.
There's a top vent.
Okay, looking good. That is what we want. Let's get the triangle vent going. Come on now.
Definitely more condensation from the bottom now.
Yep. Looking good. Trending positively, as you would say. Triangle vent, vents the things a triangle does.
Nobody even had to super chat for Jack's thing tonight. He's gotten that tired. Wow, look at all that venting. This looks like what we saw last time.
Yep,
Right
this
before,
is looking great.
right before the triangle vent started, so.
Everybody in chat saying I've lost it. I have not lost it. I'm merely entertaining myself as we wait for a static fire. Josh Daw asks what the triangle vent is. Well, Josh, let me tell you. Go back to 3:40 on the timeline. You see on the upper left of the screen there, 5:36 a.m. Scrub your timeline back to around 3:40. You will see what we are talking about. That's the triangle vent.
Again, we could be counting down towards the first ever multi-engine firing of a Raptor engine. So we don't know for sure it's going to be a static fire, but potentially going to have a major first here in Boca Chica tonight, or this morning.
Astro Boy SpaceX, thank you for the $5 super chat. Streaming 1080p 60 frame a second video over cell networks for hours and hours and hours is not cheap. So thank you for the $5 and everybody tonight who has supported this. Astro Boy asking, what is the potential for engine damage when 3 Raptors are fired up? Is there a flame diverter? First off, no, there's no flame. Second off, there is totally the potential for damage. That's why I'm speculating that they might start them up in sequence rather than all at once. Even if it's just milliseconds apart, that might be a meaningful difference. In fact, the space shuttle main engines did that exact thing. Started up, I think, like 200 milliseconds apart. So the potential for damage is absolutely there. And if you watch the most recent weekly update video that we've done that went up today, I talk about that a little bit. And really, that's one of those things that we don't know what will happen when they fire up all 3 Raptors. And it could cause SN8's flight to occur in a significant amount of time, longer than we want it. You know, if Raptors are damaged, one or more of them, and they have to swap them out, that will take time. But hopefully nothing happens. Hopefully the Raptors come out of the other side of a static fire fine, and they can progress to nose cone install, another static fire, and then flight really rapidly. Because I know that's what we all want to see. 120 milliseconds between space shuttle main engine startup. Thank you, Torin Altair.
We gotta be like within minutes of the triangle vent at this point. Come on.
Adrian in our member Discord saying 10 minutes until triangle vent, 3 minutes ago. So if they're targeting top of the hour, 5:48 event. And this is based off of the attempt earlier in the window. It's not necessarily going to line up exactly the same again, but that's kind of one of the things that we can do as we tank watch, try and figure out what's going on, is you can use evidence and past attempt. So Just waiting on some venting. I feel like I used up all of my excitement on the first attempt. I'm really excited to see 3 Raptors fire. It's going to be a big, big step to making Starship a reality. But yeah, forgive me for my subdued commentary at this point. So it's a little bit late.
Yeah,
And
I'm half asleep, so.
Paul from Norway, thank you for the currency units. G-Mark Register, thank you for the £5. They say my small contribution to keep this alive, keep space in the public eye, may get Mars after. Thank you so much, Jean-Marc. I don't know. I'm sorry. Thank you for your support and thank you for £5. And Gabby, thank you for the support. They say for coffee or mustard. Well, I guess the mustard only is with a hat, right? And I didn't say I was going to eat one, so I don't need the mustard. Thanks. Thank you for the support. Astro Boy SpaceX asking when we expect to see a fully configured Starship test fire with 32 Raptors. Never. You know why? Because Starship doesn't get 32 Raptors. No. But also, Super Heavy doesn't. Super Heavy's only going to get 28. So, if I correct your question to when do we expect to see a fully configured Super Heavy test fire 32 Raptors? I'm going to say February 2022. What do you think, Michael? When do you think the first Super Heavy with 28 Raptors will fire up?
Your audio just went all weird, Jack. You may have lost battery power or something. Jack's AirPods have fallen asleep, it sounds like.
Yeah, sorry. We've been streaming for a sufficient amount of time that my AirPods finally died. I have swapped out. Do I sound okay?
Yes.
All right, good.
What was the question? Sorry.
When do you think the first Super Heavy with 28 Raptors will fire?
2022 or 2023?
Yeah, I said February 22. I think that's a fair guess. I'm just picking a month at random, really. Super condensating on the underside of the vehicle at this point. I mean, that's looking good. We just need to see some venting from the tanks and that triangle vent to kick on here in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Bent straight. Oh my. Thank you so much. Can't believe you keep doing this, but I've tried to go to sleep, but then I checked in and heard Jack sing Triangle Vents, the Spider-Man theme song. Lol. This is why I support the channel.
Oh man, that shows you how tone deaf I am. It was supposed to be Triangle Man from They Might Be Giants. I guess it's kind of the same as the Spider-Man song. Either way, thank you so much, Bent Straight. $50 is a huge amount of money. Thank you so much. It really does help us do what we do, try out crazy new projects, put things in the works, expand our team. I mean, the support from the members, and the support from the super chatters, and everybody on these live streams is so enormous, and I cannot thank you enough. $50 is a huge amount of money. Thank you, Ben. If I can goof around and sing the Triangle Vent song and make you happy, well, I'm doing my job. So thank you. Wow. Holy cow, an Septic with a $100 super chat saying, great channel, guys and gals. I just got a good deal on a new full frame DSLR and I'm passing the savings along. Also, thanks, Mary. Antiseptic, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your new camera. And I know those purchases can be painful sometimes, but I'm really glad you got a good deal on a new camera. And it's a big deal. It can be tough to spend that kind of money, a good chunk of change, especially if you spend a lot of time saving up for it. But really, think about all of the cool things that will go through your lens and be captured because you got that camera. That's going to be an awesome purchase throughout the years. So I'm super thankful that you managed to get a good deal on it. And holy cow, $100 is a huge, huge amount of money. So thank you so much, Antiseptic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, Vinny Lombardo, welcome to Flight Engineer, buddy. Holy cow, Vinny, you are awesome. Thank you so much to Vinny for the Flight Engineer membership. You get Discord access, Vinny, so be sure to pop in and say hey when you get that, so we can chat and share our cursed rocket emoji with you. Hopefully, we're just a minute or two away from the triangle vents kicking on, based on previous timeline from earlier in the night. But we really don't know what quite is going to happen next. Keep your eyes on the bottom third of the vehicle there for those three triangle vents to turn on. Oh man, I really want to try and pronounce your, and I really am sorry because I know already that I'm not going to be able to pronounce it correctly, but I'm just gonna go with, oh no, you know what? I'm gonna make Google do it. Hang on. Let's see what Google says. Um, that is not helpful. I'm too tired to Google anything meaningful. Um, well, buddy,
Ooh, there it is, there it is, there it is.
that
Let's go.
right on
Boom.
schedule. Okay. Based on this timeline that we've been using so far by Adrian in our member Discord, I think we can confidently say that they are going for a static fire at top of the hour clock. Also, based on the fact that that's when the window closes, although they can go past that. We are fully into triangle vent territory now. Look at those things go. This is excellent. We are headed right into another attempt for static fire. Maybe we'll hear that siren turn on and or maybe they'll just do a preburner this time and not fire the siren off. Curious.
This looks like just what we saw last time.
Just no siren. Kind of perplexing.
Well, I mean, there was a bit of this before the siren happened, so
True.
I think there's still hope.
Andre, hopefully I'm saying your name right. Welcome to Padrat. Thank you for the membership, buddy. Runtilla or Rutnilla. Welcome to Padrat. Also, thank you to all of our members for the support. Calypto saying Doc Brown said fully stacked Starship will fly 11, 15, 21. All right. We'll hold you to that, Calypto. If you're wrong, you got to eat your hat with a side of mustard. Celadon Hair Extraordinaire, thank you for the $10 New Zealand. They say, I left for an hour to shave my beard for work. Coming back, and I'm amazed you're still here streaming this. You bloody legends. Remember to drink water. Well, you're really sweet, Celadon. It's all Mary. We're just the nerds here sitting here talking over the. Thank you, Mary, for being such a legend. Absolute legend. And the drink water thing, I don't know. I doubt your reference, but back in the Starhopper days, baking in the sun on Nomad's roof, Tim Dodd and I used to relentlessly tell each other to drink water so we wouldn't get dehydrated. Rice Thomas, Reese, thank you so much. $3.99 or £2.99. They say, did they have as much trouble starting the Merlin? I don't know. Oh, siren. Siren. Y'all. It's so cool to hear that siren and then look over at chat and then see like a 5-second delay and then chat just immediately freaks out about the siren, and for good reason. We are just 10 minutes away from a possible static fire test with 3 Raptor engines for the first time. Starship serial number 8 will need to complete that static fire test to get a nose cone installed, to do another static fire test with a nose cone, and then it will fly. We're all so excited for that. Look at that triangle vent go.
And sometimes they do the sirens slightly late, so I would say between 6 to 6:04 is kind of our window of when we could possibly see this test occur. And again, a static fire is the most likely based on the siren being sounded, but a pre-burner is also possible.
Correct. And yeah, it's good to point out potential delay in siren firing. The police officer has to get the message to fire to do the siren, and there's certainly some amount of delay between the message being sent, the message being received, and then the message acted on by the officer. So a little bit of a wiggle room in there. Could be around 6, could be around 6:03, 6:04, somewhere in that 6 to 6:05 window. This Starship will hopefully light up with 3 Raptors at a time. Jean-Luc, thank you so much for the £5. Fly with Jazza, thank you for the $2 Australian. And Brent Norman saying, looking forward to the static fire today. Love your coverage. Thank you, all of you, for your support. All right. I feel like just before the siren went off, we heard like a little bit of walkie-talkie chatter. Like I heard the sound of a walkie-talkie being activated. I wonder if that was the officer talking to base camp or what have you. Nifty.
I wonder if we're going to hit 10,000 viewers before this happens. Our viewer count is climbing rapidly.
Y'all, if you haven't yet, hit the like button. I'm just going to shameless plug. Hit the like button. We have been up all night. If you like this stream, if you're watching the stream, hit the like button. Thanks. Also, subscribe if you haven't, because we stream from Boca Chica a lot. If anything interesting is happening in Boca Chica, you better believe we're streaming it. Thanks to Mary. So if you don't subscribe, all right, well, just as little as 4 minutes away now from a static fire test with 3 Raptor engines. And like Michael said, it's also possible that they do a preburner. But given that they fired off that siren from the police car, it certainly seems like they are going for a static fire. Hype train is sailing. Let's do this. That's right, it's sailing. Trains can sail. All right, well, 3 minutes to go from a potential static fire test 3 Raptor engine.
Please just get this over with. Come on, SpaceX.
Yes,
Save
that
us
would be
the sleep tomorrow.
that would be really great if they can complete the test successfully and we selfishly get to sleep all night rather than having to do this again. And I say having to do this again, we do this because we want to and we enjoy doing it, and it's a blast. So thank you for all of your support. Definitely not complaining. But these late nights are tough, let's be real. So hopefully they can get it done and move on to the next phase of the testing campaign for SN8. I think at this point, I'm pretty much just going to shut up and we can listen to the sounds of Starship do its thing. I guess I'll see you guys on the other side of static fire or whatever happens.
Any minute now.
Yep, hopefully we're just moments away from a static fire test with 3 Raptor engines for the very first time. If you're just joining us, we are moments away, and that is why we are refraining from speaking as much as possible at this point. We want to be able to hear it when it happens.
Preburner.
Definitely not a full static fire, huh?
That was what appeared to be a successful Preburner test. So
Cool deal. Successful test. At least that's what it looked like, anyways.
yeah. So that confirms probably that the first test was actually a Preburner as well.
It's interesting that they would fire off the police siren for a preburner.
Yeah.
We have not seen them do that yet. But 3 Raptor is definitely a new thing, and so they can change what they do.
So subscribe to the channel and tune in. The next window, it starts at 9 p.m. Central Time today. And assuming the data review from that Preburner test comes back good, we could be in for a static fire test. So when that happens, we will be live.
Yep, if you don't already, subscribe to the channel. We'll be live for, oh man, Starship testing, not just the static fire tomorrow night or whenever it does happen, but also SN8 15-kilometer flight.
I'm trying to rewind and see if I can tell how many engines did the Preburner.
It looked cool. That's my input at this point, is that looked cool. Okay, let's see. It looks like
I cannot tell.
still only one of the 3 triangle vents fit liquid oxygen. And yeah, I can't tell like what is going on Raptor wise. Watching it again. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look like any of that flame. Well, no, I can't really say it. It looked like a lot of fire. That's not really a very precise measure there, but it certainly looked like the amount of orange and fire coming out of the bottom there was more than 1 Raptor's worth. So I'd feel confident saying that was multiple Raptors, though I really don't know.
Yeah.
One thing that is interesting is that it didn't kick up any dust. It was just a preburner, but that might also be because they've spent more time cleaning and clearing and concreting the area around the pad. If you're wondering what a preburner is, basically each Raptor engine has 2 preburners, one for the liquid oxygen and one for the methane. Each of those preburners powers a turbo pump. So there's 2 preburners, 2 turbo pumps. Those turbo pumps are what provide fuel to the combustion chamber for the rocket engine. So preburners are a very key part of the rocket engine. Definitely haven't depressurized, and the LOX vents are still going. Michael, do you think this could be a hold?
I think they're probably done. Because it
I
took a
hope
while last time, but we'll see.
it did take a while. You're right. I hope they're probably detanking.
Yeah.
So we'll wait a little bit. We'll see what happens. See if cars head to the pad. We'll stick around for a little bit. Let's see. Answer some of your questions here. Oh, really quick, catch up on some super chats that came in before the excitement happened. Martin 147, welcome to Capcom, buddy. Thanks for the membership. You get Discord access. Pop into Discord. And Ken Seahart, thank you for the $5. Ken says, thanks guys. Do I get my money back if static fire doesn't happen? No. Thank you for the $5, Ken. Mark, thank you for the €5. Say, thanks guys. Your sleep deprivation is very much appreciated. You're welcome, Mark. And John Mark Legister, thank you for the £5. And the name pronunciation tip. Thanks for the support tonight, everybody. It's been phenomenal as usual. That's really excellent of you all. Michael, do you have the capability to do a replay?
Nope.
Nuts.
You can rewind your stream. And
You can do an analog replay.
go back to 601 and you will see the Preburner test. But yeah, why is there frost forming now? That looks like frost.
That is actual frost, right? That's white and
I
not
think so.
condensation. Confusing. It looks like a hold and not a detank or depress, but it could just be a detank. Those LOX vents are definitely petering out, so that's one thing. That frost, though, is curious. I don't think they're filling up the tank more. Maybe
No,
that's just the result of a rapid
yeah.
emptying. I don't know. Orca pup. Orca pup. Cute. Thank you for the $20, Orca. Cute name and huge contribution to the feed. Thank you so much. Linecraftman in chat. Frost caused by rapid detank. Yeah, I mean that's plausible. I would believe that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's probably it. Because those bottom vents have, like you said, petered out pretty quickly, much faster than last.
Yeah, good observation there, Linecraftman. And Hillary asking, is the test done? It sure seems like it. The window is closed, and it seems like they are rapidly detanking the vehicle. We should see a sustained double vent here anytime now. And although it did take a while after the previous test, though we didn't really see it because they didn't fully depress. I don't know. But yes, test is done. Seems like the test is done for the night. Timothy asking, why doesn't SpaceX say what they are testing? Kind of do. But yeah, I mean, it's with a test campaign like this, you don't necessarily want to put out a press release and say, today, we're going to do this. Because then when you don't, all the newspapers and everybody comes out to you and says, hey, or writes stories like SpaceX fails at testing its rocket engine or whatever. Better to just kind of fly under the radar and test without making a big deal out of it. And if you don't get to something one day, it doesn't turn into a news story. Yeah, I think that's at least part of it. I can't speak to their rationale for everything they do, but that would make sense. Kind of like a under promise, over deliver. Yuri Steenbergen, thank you for the €5. They say, can they do a preburner and then continue to a static fire, or just have to start it all over again? Very good question. They can, in theory, do a preburner and then do a static fire test. However, they need time to do that, and the window for testing is already closed for the night. They've gone past the window in the past, previously, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do that tonight or this morning or however you want to think of it. All right, well, what do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think it's. What do you think? Probably a good time to wrap up.
I mean, at this point, we've been live for 3 hours, 6:12 a.m. local. Mary's been out there literally all night. We've been up all night. And we're basically just waiting for cars to head to the pad at this point.
Yeah, and even if they were going to recycle for a static fire, which I think is highly unlikely given that the window is now closed, from what we had heard, it was going to be at least a 3 or 4 hour recycle. So definitely makes sense to get some sleep. And if something happens later on today, we will come back live. Again, the next window opens at 9 p.m. local time, and that could be the static fire attempt, given that the preburner tests seem to have no issues. So, of course, it'll come down to the final data review. We do not have the data. We're just going off what we saw. But thank you to Jack for joining us today on commentary. And, of course, Mary for being out there in the field as always. I am Michael Baylor. I am super tired, so I'm going to keep this outro super short. You have any final words, Jack?
Oh, man. Yeah, I wish I did. I don't. Just, I guess these are final words, so I do. I don't know, man. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you for watching. Support the channel if you like what we do. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. There's a merch store if you want to buy merch. Represent your Texas Tank Watcher status. Explain to all your confused friends what a Texas Tank Watcher even is. There's L2. If you can't get enough information, there's always the L2 side of the NASASpaceflight forums. Insane amount of info out there. And then, of course, there's our daily videos from Boca Chica, thanks to Mary. And there are the weekly updates that we're doing again now. And there's all these live streams. So there's a whole bunch of things we're putting out there in the world. If you like what we do, please keep supporting us, even if that's just hitting the like button and telling your friends about us. That's plenty of support. You don't got to throw in any money for us to be appreciative. We just appreciate you being here. So that'll be it for tonight. Starship SN8 successfully, well, at least what looked like, completed a successful preburner test of 3 Raptor engines. And yeah, like Michael said, the next test window will open tonight, daytime. Oh my God, my brain. Whatever. We'll be live for the next testing window whenever that happens. Thank you. There you go. 9 p.m. today, October 19th. So that's when the next test window opens. And you rest assured, when something is happening, we'll go live. But until then, thanks for watching, for being awesome. Oh my God, I can't even think of a sign off. Be excellent.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I promise.
Okay, I need to sleep. We're done. Bye, everyone.
We have liftoff.
chamber pressure looks good.
Going up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Body downside speed off. Speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.